All right. There will be bourbon, which is here, as always, fueling not tonight's discussion. This is the afternoon discussion with Terry Schappert because, he doesn't do nights. He's not a night guy, not a night man. So,
I can't miss the Perkins early bird special.
do they still have Perkins? Is that
I,
still a
I,
thing?
I don't know, man. I maybe not.
No, I do know that because I was in Orlando. I mean, not recently, but fairly recently. And the one off of I Drive is where Tiger Woods famously was caught banging the waitress. I don't know if you remember
Oh,
that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's Perkins lore in Orlando is Tiger Woods and the old waitress. Um,
Perkins or
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's really because I remember going to Perkins, but not since I've been an adult. I don't think.
Yeah. That was something when we were kids, and I don't remember there even being a Perkins when I was growing up.
It was like an
Yeah,
upscale IHOP to me, I
yeah,
felt.
kind of. It's for
Yeah, for me
where
it
old
was.
where old people go where I am now. So I
Yeah.
mean, I sure they wish to build a Perkins out here in the Outer Banks. It'd be nice.
Maybe we, you know what? Let's look into that. Let's start doing a little crowdsourcing. Maybe we can get them.
Yeah.
We'll, when I post this, I'm going to at Perkins and see if we can get them.
I would appreciate to hear from Perkins. I think I've earned that.
All right. So fueling the discussion, it will be this new Heaven Hill grain to glass weeded bourbon release that I just magically found on the shelf at the ABC store right down the hall. So that's the good thing about state stores, Terry, is they can't price gouge you. So this is at MSRP, 99 bucks. Looked online real quick, going anywhere from 285 to 400, the stupid little stuff they do with aftermarket things. You probably don't because you're not one of those types of people. You wouldn't ever price gouge me, would you?
No, I would not. I would not. I'd give it to you because I'm not even really a big drinker.
I know. It's
But
even better. So if you see it,
no, I mean I like alcohol. I just I got lucky, dude. I was never like a big drinker. Even in college, man, I was yeah, no, I take that. But I mean, but in college you're drinking beer
yeah.
and Everclear punch, which is pretty bad for you. But I was never a big drinker, man, and which is surprising because I have a lot of Irish in me, and my family's alcoholics, so I escaped that. Escaped that, yeah, yeah. No, I know, and it's funny because I know we've had this discussion before. I always found it very interesting when you were talking about bourbon, how it's a distinctly American spirit, and I think it's kind of cool.
Well, what's cool about this? So grain to glass, right? So it's a kind of a partnership with a hybrid farm that makes a specific corn varietal that'll grow the best in central Kentucky where this distillery is.
Mm.
And I kind of like what you just said. I like how the sentence at the end is it honors the multi-generational partnerships that were built on handshakes, not contracts. I think that's pretty
Right
cool.
on.
Yeah. So it is cool. No, you're right. And it goes back to like, hey, this is America's native spirit. We're the ones that came up with this shit, and we do it pretty damn good. You got all these Scottish trying to use our barrels to make their stuff taste better. Scotch. How silly is that? Scotland has to get American whiskey barrels, used ones, to make Scotch taste good. That's my issue with Scotch. I know there's a lot of Scotch fans, but you know what? It takes 30 years to do what Kentucky does in 7. All right, because your weather sucks. You don't get the variety of seasons. And then on top of that, you got to use American bourbon barrels. So what
I
do
didn't know.
you do in Scotland?
So they really purchase American used barrels and bring them over to Scotland. I had no
Yes.
idea.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
idea. Because I know
And then,
Scotch. My dad was a Scotch guy. He enjoyed Scotch, but and again, I'll drink it, but
yeah,
never. I like bourbon better than Scotch for
that's
sure.
because you're a true American, Terry.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Speaking of true, so we had this little thing that I find funny, and I'm going to ask you a few questions, all right? And I want you to answer based on what you know.
Okay, sure. I'll
And
always answer you. I'll answer you.
well, some of us need educating. So, what does email stand for, Terry?
Yeah. So Eric, here's a funny thing. Emails. I always tell people, hey, I'm going to send you an electronic mail, and they're like, so because I feel like it's kind of nice that I tell people. And Wi-Fi stands for wireless fidelity. A lot of people don't know that.
That's good. Okay. Oh, done. All right. What does WWW stand for?
World Wide Web.
Good. All right. Last one. All right. You're 2 out of 2 so far.
I'm answering these, but I want your audience to know, because a lot of them are my friends. I understand I'm being mocked. And that's fine because, I've spent my whole life being mocked, so it's okay. I just want you to know I'm onto what you're doing, make fun of the old guy. But go ahead. What's your last question, Panda Zewski?
Well, I didn't know this one, so maybe you will. What does HTTP stand for?
Oh, fuck yeah. No, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. 2 out of 3. You're not going to get the prize today. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Who knew that?
Who knew that?
Yeah. And then I guess you add the S that makes it secure. Because, if you don't do this, if you don't have the S, that means you're getting scammed and they're taking your money from
Transfer protocol secure. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So apparently that's how you keep from, losing all your credit card info.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
Had no idea.
You lose a credit card before?
No, because I think it's weird. I don't know, whatever, because I know the old guy jokes, but like everything being electronic is, I get it, it's convenient, but man, it's so vulnerable. I mean, it's you don't even have money. It's just a concept. Yeah.
It's like people get insulted when you have cash.
Yeah, and I like having cash. I like buying shit with cash. I do like buying shit with cash, because I also then, when the cash is gone, then I know that money's gone. I don't have money, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a great point, but this is one of the things. My brother does this all the time. Like, we'll go to split a check or something, and like, I'll use the card, and then he's like, "I'll just give you cash." And then having USAA, that's damn near impossible to like deposit. Right? So once I get the cash from him, it's like, well, now I got to spend this. We're not even. You think we're even because you gave me your half. Now I got to go spend my money that you just gave me.
You got to go lose. Yeah.
Huh. You gotta go. I don't know. Tell me about this dive you just did. Task Force Dagger, was that what it was? Portugal?
Yeah. So I teach. I I volunteer for a foundation called Task Force Dagger. It's taskforcedagger.org if people want to look at it. We do a lot of stuff. A lot of health kind of initiatives for guys. It's a special operations charity. But if you were in support of us downrange, whether you're an SF guy or not, or a SEAL or something, but let's say you're an infantry guy and you got hurt, supporting us or doing something for us, you're in the family. So so we do a lot of health stuff with guys. We get guys at the Cleveland Clinic. We've been pretty good on getting some, sort of new treatment modalities, like things like, microdosing psilocybin and all these other sort of different things that we try to get guys plugged into what they need is what we do. That's the health piece. We also used to do an immediate needs thing where, the government in its infinite wisdom, when guys were getting killed overseas, which isn't really happening as much. Not that it's not going to happen again, but it's, sometimes they would be where the family was like close enough where the government wouldn't get them tickets and hotels, but far enough away where it's really inconvenient. So we'd go ahead and pay for all that kind of stuff. And then, one of our other things we do every year is called Dagger Dive, where we bring the guy and his wife and his kids, because we think of it this way too. There's a lot of great people doing really good stuff for vets, for sure.
Yeah.
Taking guys on elk hunts and whatever, guys doing things. But the way we look at it is, if the guy's busted, then his family's probably busted. And so by bringing them to Key West, they get to stay at this beautiful hotel for free. A lot of people in Key West, Key West is a funny place too, because there's a lot of military people there. But there's a lot of just all sorts of different people. There's all sorts of freaks. There's normal people. There's fish.
Say it. Just say it.
What do you mean? Say what?
About the people. What are they?
About the gays?
There you go.
About the gays. Yeah, well, they're there too. They have a vested interest in the Conch Republic. They just want to take out the N and make it the Cock Republic. But I said. No, Key West is a really funky place. I really like it. But anyway, that's where the Special Forces Combat Dive School is. And so the guy,
I didn't know that. That was Miami for some reason. I didn't know dive school was here.
Key West is in Fleming Key. And so so they come down, they're there for the whole week. They pay for nothing. We fly them in. We have teams of people picking up from the airport, get them settled in. Cool. If they have the young kids that, can't dive, or if there's people in the group, like, that don't really want to dive, we have organized stuff for them the entire time, which I think that's probably the hardest job at Task Force Dagger, is watching after all these kids. But then, and then the rest of them, like the guy, his wife, and a lot of guys in our community are already divers, but then, they're learning it with their wife and their older kids, and they're working together in the pool, and then we take them out on the reef, and everybody gets certified, and we have a lot of really kind of cool events. It's a great thing. I missed this year because of all the stuff I've been doing for my mom, but I just got back. The other thing we do is now, one of the guys went through our program a few years ago, ended up going to East Carolina for graduate school for maritime archaeology, and they have a very good program there, world-class program. And he was talking to them. He goes, "Hey, you got to meet these guys. Where my dive instructors are really, whatever." So we end up meeting the ECU staff and sort of formed a partnership, a coalition. So now it's us, the Task Force Dagger people, and the university, and we have been over the years going diving on these targets with the goal of repatriating the servicemen's remains. All of this, of course, is done through the auspices of the U.S. government. DPAA, the Defense POW Accounting Agency, that's the forensic lab. That's the forensic lab out in Hawaii. By the way, really worth, man, not a dry eye to go visit that place. So our expeditions are funded by our foundation from donations from people. And we don't get paid to do any of it. It's all out of love. So and East Carolina funds it, and also the government through DPAA. My last Saipan trip, we were doing deep rebreather dives, and we had a coalition from Japan there that was doing some stuff, and NOAA was funding some of what we were doing. So now the Saipan trip is done, and now this is our first trip to Portugal, where we went to go excavate and dive on a B-24 bomber that went down in 1943. It actually wasn't on a bombing run. It was based out of Morocco, and it was configured to be submarine reconnaissance plane.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, everything went wrong, dude, just like a movie. Like they had gotten a message to turn back, that they didn't get it. Their commo basically went down. Their navigation went down.
Oh, not you guys, the actual the plane, the B-24.
Yeah, the plane.
Okay, not you guys as trip. Okay.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I'd be crying. I wouldn't even be here talking to you. So so if you imagine back in 1943, there was these guys were out on this patrol, and no
electronic mail.
There was no electronic mail. There was no HTTPS. None of that. None of that. DOS, I believe you call it, or Linux, or whatever the things you guys do with the keyboard. So yeah, and so dude, everything went wrong. Their nav they lost their navigation. They were low on fuel. It was dark. There was a cloud bank. They literally didn't know where the fuck they were, and so they're flying. And they're like, we're in big trouble. And they saw some lights, and they figured out, well, this is probably Portugal. But they couldn't. There was no place. They didn't want to land anywhere because there was no place to land. So they're going to ditch it. So they decided to ditch it in the water. And the problem was the B-24s. Actually, it's funny, man, because one interesting thing about what we do is once we know what we're going to be diving on, the kind of target we're going on, me and a lot of other guys, but I nerd out. I start looking up everything I can about a B-24, and everything, as much as I can learn about them, even though when they've been underwater for like 70 something years, they don't look the same. But they landed, they hit the water, they had their landing gear still down, which I think that was a mistake. I think they weren't supposed to do that. And the B-24s, by the way, I saw a training film from the 40s. It's a notoriously bad plane to ditch. The way it's balanced, it doesn't ditch well in water, but with the landing gear, it was bad. So they're coming in, the landing gear hits the water, and the plane just flipped over. And started going down. It kind of broke up. The whole wing was intact, though, surprisingly. It was just a big-ass wing, as you can imagine. And so 6 guys got out. 6 guys got out and was floating the drink, and 5 guys did not. And the 6 guys were bobbing like corks out in the Atlantic Ocean, and these Portuguese fishermen rowed out in their boats and picked these cats up, wrapped them in blankets, and brought them back to the hospital and basically saved their lives. So long story short, after this whole the weeks of us diving out there was an event. It was in a town called Faro, Portugal, Faro. It's down on the Algarve region by the southern coast. It was really, really special because I don't know what to expect. We get there, and there's these older Portuguese people, younger Portuguese people. They were all descendants of the fishermen who came out and rowed and saved these guys. And we're out, and they were like, we're all saying hello and meeting each other. And then the grandson of the pilot of that bomber, who did survive, actually, he actually splits his. He's 101st
Oh
veteran.
shit.
He's about my age, so but he looks a lot younger, like all of them do. But he was there because he also has a house in the area in Portugal, and he brought his mom. So the pilot's wife was there,
Oh
and
shit.
yeah,
That's fucking nuts, man.
lots of hugs and tears. The Portuguese government was there, and this one Navy guy who actually dove with us for a couple of days. He said, this is really great for us to see this because we've also, Portugal's obviously a much smaller country, he goes, but we've lost guys in conflicts around the world that we've never even tried to get after. And
Yeah.
now we can sort of, convince our population that this is maybe money worth spending on that, and I agree, if you're a country that, if you forget your military, the guys who died for you, and you just kind of sweep that under the rug, you are on a bad path. So anyway, it's a really great thing. The diving conditions were much different though. Like Saipan was literally in the lagoon, kind of where you can see stuff underwater, right? But it was like 30 feet deep.
Oh, I imagine this was much deeper.
30 feet deep and crystal clear, warm, and no current. This was like 70-ish feet deep, which is not, again,
That's yeah. I was thinking like when you say ditched in the middle of the Atlantic, I'm expecting like, oh
well, I
shit.
say middle. It's like a mile. It's almost, you could see the shore. The shore was right
Yeah,
there.
that's
It was
crazy.
pretty interesting. The shore was you could, a good swimmer could make that. It's like a mile and a half, 2 miles offshore. But it's the water there is cold.
Yeah,
Its visibility was absolute shit. I mean, like, and you're diving down. It's cold and it's dark, and I'm sticking my. You're diving with partners, so like we'd switch and flip flop different tasks and different dives. But like we had to set up this boat, and we had a compressor, and we have another chase boat, and we have underneath we have the dredger, which once we turn that on, it just starts sucking stuff up. So I'm like kind of sticking my body half in the wreck of what I can get, and I can't see anything. I'm just grabbing with my hands, stuffing stuff into the dredger, and then the guy on the other end behind me, who I can't see because there's no visibility, he's getting it into the bags. And then when that's done, we shut it off, and then we have to put lift bags up and float it, and it gets retrieved, and we sift it, and we sift it on the boat, and anything that's potential organic material gets sent back to the government to be analyzed forensically. We did find. I don't know if we found any organic stuff. There were a couple potential things. You have to kind of, I mean, unless you're like a real paleo, a
yeah.
real forensic guy, you might not know. Even the archaeologists that were from ECU, they're like, maybe. But we found, like a Mae West vest, an intact Mae West vest, which is what they wore, the pilots, if they had to go down. They had some other pieces of equipment they would have had. So that means we're in
Yeah,
the area. That means,
yeah.
yeah, right. And there was pieces of windshield glass and some other stuff. So I suspect once we talk to the government, they may potentially want us to go back. And if we do that, then we'll have to be more aggressive of maybe cutting into the buried
Yeah.
fuselage, because
How did
it's
you
hard.
identify this? How did you know that, hey, this B-24 went down in
Great question.
1943?
It was kind of one of those things in the Faro, Portugal area that was talked about by all the old people. Like, hey, do you remember that time that plane ditched? And grandpa, Jose had to ride out, and so it became like people knew that a plane had gone down there in 1943, but
That's
people
wild.
forget. And then there was a couple local, just because of a couple local guys who were divers, they kept looking for it. They kept trying to figure out where it would be, and they fucking found it. They found the wing.
Oh
And so
shit.
they were like, yeah, it became like people would dive on it, but it's, because of the visibility and the cold and everything, it's not like you have a lot of pleasure divers diving on it. But
Yeah.
once they pinpointed where it was, then they started figuring out how to do it. And then, ECU got involved, and here we are. But yeah, it was really because of the determination of people in Portugal there that wanted to find it.
Yeah, that's crazy because you make a good point is that no one really would have known.
No, no,
It's so long ago, the technology, like no one, who knows
no.
how long it took for anyone to even know that that fucking plane in our military was gone. You know, like just there's just so many variables against. Hey, you know, sorry, but the fact
Yeah, I
that
mean,
that they
obviously, the American military, obviously they knew what happened. They documented it because we had 6 survivors as well, so they
right,
knew the general location of where it went down, but they just didn't. The war was still going on,
yeah,
and
right in the middle of it, like
have
that's
assets to go try to get it, and
yeah,
then years go by, and
yeah.
these guys are underwater and no one even knows. But then these Portuguese people were like, really, they're like, I want to find this, and they did. And a couple of the guys were there at that presentation at the end and kind of told the sort of the history of how people got involved and how they started trying to
That's pretty
search for
fucking
it.
cool.
It's
Yeah,
very
that's cool.
fascinating.
That and then also like I guess my follow up to be is just how many more do you think are like that? Just I mean, because you look at the Atlantic period, just from the naval battles, just how many
I
sunken
forget
ships,
the
merchant
number. I
ships,
forget the
like
number
there's
because they
just so
actually
much
mentioned it.
stuff.
Yeah, no, Jen McKinnon, who is the department chair at ECU, and she's just an amazing gal, man. She's great, man. And, I will say this real quick too before I answer that question about how many are recoverable, not recoverable. We get along so great with the archaeology people because archaeology is, yes, it's an interpretation clearly, but archaeology is a science where things are quantifiable, they're measurable. You're holding. This is what we excavated, and da da da. There's some interpretation of what happened, but with things like DNA and some of the other stuff we have. When I got my anthropology degree in the 80s, we were still, it was much harder to get some specific. We didn't have the DNA kind of technology that we do now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But oh my God, what were you just
No,
asking me?
I was saying how much more is probably out
Oh
there.
yeah, and Jen actually in her presentation talked about how many lost servicemen are I want to say it's at least 70,000 we just know are just unrecoverable.
70,000.
Yeah, I think so. 70,000. It's a lot.
That's fucking
The
nuts.
face you just made is the face I made. So I was like, fuck. Because if you think about it,
That's like think about how many divisions that is.
yeah, that's brigades. So
That's
it's like,
fucking insane.
when you think about it, it's kind of like what you said. Anything that got lost in the open ocean is, or down is down like
Fucking
miles underwater.
fucking
So
insane.
not only would you have to find it, but you're not going to be able to excavate it. You could use
Right.
an RV to locate it, but so there's guys that are in underwater graves that are just unrecoverable. We're never going to get them back. But there's many thousands that if you had the assets you could do it, but the government only has so much money to commit to it, and so they like having us because first of all they're not paying us. We're doing
Right.
it for free.
Exactly. Yeah.
And East Carolina, we give a lot of muscle to ECU, to their archaeology people, because we're military guys, we're special ops guys, so like we've learned these tasks very quickly, and then we're also very good at solving shit when stuff goes wrong, like this breaks, or we have to do. Wait, this isn't working. Okay, I got a better idea. Let's get them up on lift bags instead of trying to bring them up on a
Yeah.
rope. This is too much, and then lift bags could be floating in the ocean. We get a chase boat and go pick them up. You're
Yeah.
constantly sort of dealing with shit like we do in the military.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of guys we're never going to get back, which is sad, but and that's why when the first time we went to Saipan, shit, that was a long time ago. We actually stopped. We had arranged for our foundation, the guys that were going on that expedition, to go to DPAA. And man, it's really something else, man. When you go in there, first of all, no phones are going in there, obviously. And then you walk in and there's a forensic anthropologist and sort of briefing you and showing you around. And you see behind glass in these working areas, there's tables with like remains, and like you see some of their gear on them, and it's just like, and what they do is the way they're able to identify this stuff now, besides maybe obvious reasons, or is DNA. So like if you have a family member, let's say, hey, I lost my grandpa in World War II, what you can do, your family then can, if you give DNA samples, obviously then if we find something we pull out of the ground that went down in 1943 or something like that, you can trace that back to the DNA, and of course, collating out with the time and place and the unit and all that stuff. You're like, yeah, well, that's DNA. Actually, DNA just tells you that, yeah, that guy's related to you. That's your uncle who got shot down.
That's
So it's
insane.
pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing how we can do that now.
I think one of the things you're describing is my mind just got to spinning to where we are today in terms of just how we are perceived to be so divided politically, everything and all. And I wonder if the stuff you just described, if it was just more well known, because honestly, I only know that because I know who you are. I
Right.
don't know that I didn't know any of that stuff existed. Like, and I'm, been in the military forever, but
And you're pretty hip to what's going on.
yeah,
Right.
I'm just like, I just think like, I wonder if, because we're getting so far away from World War II now, just in period, just in general. I mean, we're almost 100 years post that, and it's just like,
Yeah, we're getting
I,
there.
I I wonder if that's such a huge cause of disconnect with the fact that the global war on terror turned out to not be very popular for a lot of reasons, um,
Right.
and I just think the average we've gotten so big as a population that you already know most people don't serve more than most. Like the
Right.
majority of our country will never serve or know someone who did, and so I wonder if we had a real education system that actually highlighted those things as opposed to highlighting the fringe of stuff that most people I don't think really give a fuck about, to be honest. But
You're right.
you
I know
know,
exactly what you're saying. Yep.
yeah, and I think honestly, what most people tend to be drawn to is history,
Right.
specifically military history. You got all these people who sit here and quote great leaders from the past, and I was like, dude, do you know what your own fucking country did? Like your own people? Like, do you know that? Like, do you
No,
know what those
I,
men
I
fucking
think,
went through?
in answer to your question, which is a very, very good one, I actually think some of that is, first of all, it's human nature to kind of forget and to just sort of like put stuff behind you. So there is that. We have, relatively speaking, we have somewhat short lifespans,
Yeah.
and we end up living a life, and you have families and stuff like that. But I do think, in terms of what you said about education and our study of history as a culture, as an American society, I think that's by design, because I think
Oh yeah, for
a
sure.
lot of the educational system is not, they're not, that's, you're right, they're not interested in that. And so, what's that? There's that great quote from, it's in that awesome Motorhead song called Deaf Forever. And there's, at the end, he says, all men are equal when their memory fades. And I was like, holy shit, that's right. And
Yeah, that's
so,
pretty dope. Yeah, that's pretty deep.
yeah, and he's right. You should listen to that song. It's called Derek. It's a fucking hard song. But I think, what better way to sort of dismantle and at least give yourself the ability to control a population than to kind of erase that past? Because if you untether yourself to that, well, then it's easy to manipulate you because you don't have any frame of reference. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of happened by design. I mean, it's not even, and it's not even necessarily a centrally coordinated campaign, although I think there is coordination to it. But I think a lot of it is when you start in the educational system and in government and bureaucracies, people are doing that because that just becomes the group think of like, yeah, of course we don't really care about that. That's not that important. And it's just the same way like when all the news organizations decades ago were clearly biased. I don't think there was like one head dude like at an evil
Yeah.
Dr. Evil board meeting for the news. I think what happens is you change the culture, and the people that you all sort of think the same way. And so your mind is like, well, yeah, of course, every reasonable person thinks that. So that's the face we're going to project. I don't know if it wasn't coordinated centrally, but you could make an argument that our education system has been really, really kind of co-opted by forces that are absolutely fucking antagonistic to what we believe. And so, I mean, yeah, it is sad. Look, I get it. When we go, and the GWOT's an interesting thing. Me and you and I may have talked about this before because I've talked about it to some of my friends. And I came back in after 9/11, right? For
Yeah.
those 6 years.
Yeah.
You had your time in too, and you're a younger man. But like, what's going to happen to us more than like, at least with World War II? This kind of goes back to what you said a little bit ago. Back in World War II, the country was at war, meaning that even if you
Yeah.
were there carrying a gun, you had an uncle or a brother. And, back home, you were rationing things like tinfoil and turning in tires. And they had fuel coupons and stuff like that because they know, hey, we needed it for the war effort. The country, whether they wanted to or not, but I think most of them did, they were involved. They had skin in the game. Sure.
Yeah.
And I think now with what's happened now is our society has obviously changed as well. It's become more fragmented, less family oriented, more like, nose to the grindstone working, which is, again, easy to control. But now you have now you have, and so World War II, and they came back and they built the country too, right? They just
Right.
came back and said, you know, there was no less or more PTSD now than there was back then. But guys
Oh,
back then just swallowed it and drank and just raised their
yeah.
kids, maybe beat them or you know, difficult to talk to. Yeah, or difficult to talk to. But they just came back and they continued to work.
Yeah.
I think, but those people, their stories are. We're still seeing World War II movies. People still talk about that because again, it hasn't been bred out of us yet. The GWOT and Vietnam also to a lesser extent as well, but the GWOT for sure. When we die, you and me, Eric, we're done. Our stories are finished because really not that many people give a fuck. And I think for most people, the war was literally a news story and something that political parties could use as a football. Because like it's not like there you could find a lot of people right now out in our country that literally know nobody who went to war in these last 20 years. They don't have a friend, they don't have a buddy, they don't have a family member. So for that, and again, I'm not blaming them, but imagine this: it doesn't affect you personally, and then you come in at night, you turn on the TV, 5 guys, we just lost 5 troops from the 101st in Afghanistan,
Bummer.
right? Yeah, yes, yeah, dude, it's
Oh, that
funny,
sucks.
bummer, and I think they legitimately go, oh man, that really
Hey, what's
sucks.
for dinner? What are we?
Dude, that's the example. I used to frame it this way. I said, you come in, turn on the news. Oh, we lost 5 guys for dinner. 5 guys in
Yeah.
Afghanistan. What's for dinner?
Yeah.
And that's how, and it's gone. And so the problem is like our stories. I know World War II is the greatest generation, but I will say this, and I firmly believe it. The guys that I went to war with are the best guys I've ever met, and they will stack up with anybody from any generation. You just don't know about it. They were not less brave, and I will also posit that we were way better trained, and we were just better at what we did. But we also were lions led by lambs, and so that's a problem, you know. And
And you
it's
would
sad.
have thought it wouldn't have been, right? Because that was the greatest rallying response that we could have had to the 9/11 attacks, right? And then
It was in a way, it was
it
almost
was
like
fucking
another Pearl
squandered.
Harbor. It was almost like another Pearl Harbor if you think
Yeah, it
about it.
was. I mean, that's the only reason I joined. I literally dropped out of college to join the fucking army.
Of course
That's
you
it.
did, and a lot of cats did exact. Sean Parnell, my friend,
Yeah, yeah.
who's yeah, he did the same thing. He was telling me how he was in college. He was actually drunk or hungover in his fucking couch, and because he wakes up and it's like, what the fuck, bro? I got to do something.
Yeah.
I was at the beach. I was living in New York City, doing my acting career and everything, and I just driven down here the night the night before 9/11. I got here like 3 in the morning, and then 9 o'clock or whatever, my mom calls and says, Terry, you got to turn on TV. I was like, Mom, I've been driving all night. She goes, turn on TV. And I watched the second plane hit. I was like, okay, we're getting attacked. I sat on the beach and I was like, do I go on auditions or I get back in the fight? So like, it wasn't it's kind of an easy question to answer for me.
Well,
And
I
I
get
just
it
don't.
also because I remember you told the story, but like you had already done your time. Like you went and you
I
wanted to
was in
be a
the
special
90s. I did
forces.
90s.
You wanted to challenge yourself. You did it, and it was relatively chill, right, for the most part. And then
Yeah,
this
it's
happened.
good.
Like
I mean, I wasn't the first Gulf War, so again, you're welcome for your freedom.
I do
But
remember that. Thank you for the chocolate chip uniform.
yeah,
I've
I
got
bought.
woodland. I got
I was
woodland pictures. What's up?
I was I was cleaning out a storage locker and I found chocolate chip fucking desert uniforms. And I actually found some old pictures. I got to post them, man. I have pictures of me
Yeah,
with like
man, for
we were giving
sure.
ourselves haircuts out in the desert. Just all I
Yeah,
had.
I mean that not much changed when we went into Iraq. I mean,
Yeah, I had the 101st Mohawk, basically with chocolate chips. It was fucking mega trip. But so I guess circling back to that, it is the way of things. We have a volunteer force, which is I still think it's probably the best way to do it because but there's a price to be paid for that as the country gets further and further away from the people who do
and
it.
I would say I get what you're saying. Traditionally, yes, I would argue I don't think it's sustainable going forward, just based on where technology is going and the
I think
people that we
right.
need, specifically the people that we need to be able to kind of utilize that
Dude,
technology and to be able to do it. They are the type of person who would never put a uniform on unless you make them.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
I
bad
mean,
thing. That's why it's not sustainable. Like we are not. I get all the talk about hey the army of 2030, the army of 2040. It's like voluntarily. Because why the fuck
yeah,
dudes go? Why would I want to sign up for E4 pay when I can go make 6 figures in the private sector?
well, that's absolutely true. And also, why am I going to go fight and die for trans rights in Zimbabwe for a government that fucking absolutely clearly disdains me. Disdains me and looks down at me. So like that's the other thing too. You've shat on the guys who are the ones who've signed up, and that's why the military
does that happen, right?
Problem.
Like how does that happen? How did we get to that? Because I wanted to say this before I forget. You were talking about it, but Grandpa made this statement the first time he was on. This is probably 2-3 years ago. He said, "We went to a war, America didn't." In terms of the GWOT, we went to war, America didn't.
Yeah, he's Grandpa does some good stuff. He's got some.
He's got very smart dude. Very smart dude.
He's a very smart guy. Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying. What I just got saying in World War II, the country was absolutely a war.
Yeah.
People are even like, you know, on the coast and stuff like that. They're actually volunteering to spot for planes, and people were like,
California. That's fucking nuts, man.
Dude, there was U-boats surfacing off the coast of Long Island. You know, I mean, it's like, yeah. And so the country went without, and the country was involved. The country was not involved.
No.
What?
I mean, the president, what did Bush say? Go take your vacations, go to fucking dinner, do all that shit. Remember he said that. Like that was what he said. Don't stop your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and again, I'm not whining. I know you're not whining.
No, absolutely not. I just don't think it's sustainable.
I think as an objective observation, that is being lost. And you know, when that goes away, we're not going to be there's not going to be a GWOT movie in 30 years from now. There's not going to do that, and there's not going to be
incredible fucking stories like this. Look at some of the Medal of Honors that came out of the fucking GWOT, man. Like I know they've made some, like The Outpost, great movie. You know, right. I think it's cool. I love that movie. I was fortunate enough to serve with one of the guys that was there, and then I got to meet Clinton Romesha when he was here at an event at my company. Like I got to.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing, Terry, because you know it's one thing to just, oh shit, I served with this dude, and or you know, I know that fucking guy, dude. That was a fucking Medal of Honor winner, and I'm sitting here taking a picture with him. You know, just like, and because most of these guys that we've learned about, especially growing up, like most of them aren't alive. You know, you don't usually survive that award. You know, like you usually get that posthumously, and to be there, like standing next to a guy, and you're just like, holy shit, like this fucking guy is a fucking legend, like a real life fucking legend. And he always will. He'll be remembered for fucking ever by guys like us and just people.
By guys like us. That's the point, though. But not by the culture, not by our society.
Yeah, because that you make an even better point is what you're talking about. Is like, how many people would I have to go out and talk to know or to find that would actually know who Clinton Romesha is?
They would, dude. No one would know,
right? Like I could go to DC. I could go up to DC as a little experiment one weekend and just walk around with my fucking phone and be like, "Hey, do you know who Clinton Romesha is?" No.
Yeah, or ask him about any of our guys that like won the Medal of Honor, and just ask about any of them because we have a few. And I guarantee fucking they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. They're not going to know. They wouldn't know about. I guarantee if you walked into any community, in this case specifically a black community, they don't know who Alvin Cash is.
Right, Alvin Cash, a perfect fucking example. Or you know, the first one I knew about, the first one to win it in Iraq, Sergeant First Class Paul Smith from Third ID. Like
Smith.
Yeah, I read that dude's narrative and I was like, fuck.
Right.
That's one of the scariest fucking things I can imagine. Is like, oh shit, you're being overrun with you and your 3 dudes, and there's like 100 some fucking insurgents coming at you, and you jump on a 50 cal, and you're like, all right, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Of course, you know the inevitable happens, but that's fucking nuts. In the fact, I also think guys like that who are just like, fuck it, let's go, man.
I think guys like us always ask ourselves too, could I do that? Would I measure up if I had to? I think because I think we all like to think we could, and I think Absolutely. I could, but you never know, because there were days, you have days where I think you know, and also might go by the day. I mean, I don't know, like some days you're like, you're better, you're smarter, you're harder, you're tougher, and then other days you might get overwhelmed more quickly. So again,
that's fair. I don't think most people consider that.
But yeah, so no one knows who these cats are, and again, I'm not whining. It's just an observation on societal change, and I think I'm not saying all the changes are bad. They're certainly not, but I think there is something to be said for committing guys to a violent war and then just pretending it didn't even happen. And I can't even stand. The other thing we have too is I think you and most of the lads, I can't stand general officers. I can't stand flag officers. I can't, because I think they're such political animals. There isn't one of those people right now that's working that would fall on their career to do the right thing. They wouldn't do it. And they lied to the presidents. They lied to whoever they were working for. And they lied to us. We're on the ground saying, hey, this is not working. Here's what we got to do. Yeah, whatever. And they got they got their CIB. They got their career punch, and then they get to retire. They get to work for Raytheon, and they have a golf membership, and they get to go on a news a channel and be a quote unquote.
Look what fucking happened to Millie.
Look at Millie. Look at fucking McChrystal.
Can I ask you an honest question though? But did you know Millie? Because I feel like you guys would have served or crossed paths coming up, like at your first tour.
Oh, no, I don't. So I know, because he's older than me, but I mean, it would have been but he also, someone said that he was never a I don't know if he was what we called a paper tab, because they used to have like before, years ago, they had, it wasn't like a correspondence course, but it was easier to get this SF tab. You had to go through some stuff, but they called them paper tabbers, and it was like, I think it was in the early 80s or something like that. Man, shame on me for not remembering that. But I also, because I was asking her, I said, what group was that motherfucker in? I think he was a fifth group guy, maybe, but I couldn't find anybody. There were some people who were kind of on the interweb saying that he was never even he never really went down range. I don't even know if he actually was a team leader.
See, I don't know how true that is, because I first came to know him in 2013 when I was in Afghanistan, and I was so I was up at a 2-star level, so I would go sit and do his IJC briefs, and I thought the dude was fucking a rock star. I went and read his bio, and his bio reads like he commanded at every level. He made general. So I don't know. So I don't know what's true.
That's why when I said that, I qualified that, because like I also haven't aggressively dug into it, but I mean, like, I heard some things about he was blah blah blah, not liked, or he didn't do much, or da da da. But you're right. Maybe. Again, that's why I was saying.
Again, there's always truth in everything somewhere. But yeah, seeing him land on a helicopter, he come out of the helipad at NKC, and I was like, man. That's fucking General Milley, because I had read his his bio and everything, and I was fucking blown away, impressed. I've never read shit like that before, and then to see what he morphed into was just fucking nuts.
One thing that I've always said in our community, even as a team sergeant or whatever, it's not what you are, it's not what you were, it's what you are now.
Yeah, so I think you said that. Yeah,
that's on a team, but like, all of a sudden, a couple years, you I don't know, man, you slip, maybe you go through a divorce, you don't give a fuck, you become an alcoholic. Now you're a fat fuck, and you're like not performing, but you're the guy.
You should see his portrait, his official portrait at the Pentagon, that they paint for all the fucking Joint Chiefs of Staff. Oh, yeah. Dude, he looks more shredded than you in his portrait.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's a fat.
I wish you could take pictures in it, but it's fucking hilarious. I'm like, this is. That is not General Milley. Not today.
That is not drawn. That is not. I have to have a note underneath that says not drawn to scale. So, but the thing is, man, like, why would you? This is why I hate those guys, because they become political animals. Yeah. I mean, and the fact. Listen, I get you don't like Trump, sir, but he is the commander in chief. Yeah. And, for you to call China and talk like behind his back and stuff like that, get the fuck out of here. That's and like McChrystal, Stan McChrystal he just endorsed Kamala Harris.
What more do you need to know to not vote for Kamala then?
And the thing is, too, even if you really hate Trump, do you really think that you endorsing her is like all of a sudden now we're going to be like, oh, you endorse those shit?
Cool. Yeah, you know what? I'm sold. I was on the fence, but
I wasn't sure.
Crystal. Yeah, no,
but
I'm gonna go get my fucking sign. I'm gonna falsely promote myself to command sergeant major like Tim Walz, and it'll be fucking great. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean. Yes, well, I guess if Stan says she's a great leader, then I guess that must be true.
Must be.
So these guys have literally sold out all the shit they said they stood for, just because it's correct. And he's not doing it. And I also read about this too. Like, now that he's out, he's doing his thing. There was some veterans organization that asked him to come speak, and
Oh
he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he was like he was going to charge.
He only does it if he gets paid, right?
He gets I paid a lot,
That's nuts,
and
man.
so you know what, dude, go fuck yourself,
So, but
man.
that's
We
the
all
other
know
thing.
who
Let me ask you, because Millie is. Was McChrystal a special forces guy, or just was he a ranger, or both?
he was. I think he was. He might have been a CAG guy. Might have been
Okay.
by Delta.
So, okay, but then that's my question. Then, how did men like that, who really like I get, I'm not asking everyone who does shit like that, like, oh, they got to be super fucking hardcore, right, or whatever. I get it. I get the swing of people and beliefs, and all. I get that. But it just seems kind of odd that that's how they end up.
It's
It's
mercenary. It's mercenary. It's politics. It's politics and money and influence. Hang on, my dog. Hey, dog.
hey,
Come on.
dog.
Come here, you. This. You know, I lost
New
Larry
one.
back.
Yeah, yeah, fucking Larry. Long live Larry. I'm gonna drink one for Larry right here.
I was coming back from working at Robin Sage at the Q course, and I stopped by this
Oh, nice.
rural shelter in Lee County. And I said, "Y'all got any old ones nobody wants?" And they're like, "This one. Come here, baby.
That's cool.
You see? You see that dog right there?
I see
That
that
old,
dog right there. Boy, girl. What do we got? Girl?
that old lady right there.
Oh, yes. That's it. I love that fucking chair you're in. I need to steal that from you once you pass.
This is a bit of a throne. The room is still. I have not even cleaned this up, dude. Behind me is like the baddest shit. Like I have bookshelves and bookshelves of all sorts of fucking Terry Schappert weird shit. There's ventriloquist. There's like action figures of all the different people I've played on Hollywood Weapons.
Oh,
There's like,
nice.
yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm a
Yeah, no,
child.
wait. Okay, that's a great transition. All right, because I could talk to you about all that fucking, and we'll get back to it for sure. But you're in a play that's coming up, and it's based on misery.
Yes.
The book,
So,
was it a
so
book?
my,
Yeah, it was a Stephen King book, right?
Stephen King wrote the
Yeah.
book. I came out in
Weird fucking guy.
yeah. He's a different one. I read a lot of. I started reading
Have you
Stephen
met
King in
him?
this. No, I started reading his stuff in the late '70s when I was
I
like
was
12.
reading that shit in middle school. The first book I ever read was, I think, Four Past Midnight. I think that's what it was.
Oh, I remember
The
that. Yeah,
Langoliers. I read those. Yeah.
Michael Lears. Yeah, but I think the first book I read by him was Salem's Lot. It scared the fuck out of me. And then I
The
read
movie scared the fuck out of me.
the Stand and a bunch.
And
Anyway,
like, fuck,
he wrote,
yeah.
he wrote the book Misery in '87, and the movie came out in 1990 with Kathy Bates and James Caan. I'm playing the role of James Caan's character, Paul
Better go
Sheldon.
watch that movie tonight or this weekend at some point.
Yeah, and actually, Kathy Bates, dude, Kathy Bates won the Academy Award for Best
Yeah,
Actress.
yeah, she's a fucking rock. Like, I think, well, you know how acting is. You know, you get kind of get pigeonholed in based off
Yeah,
appearance. I mean, she's an incredible actress for sure.
she's got a lot of range, but you know, she has a very specific physical type. You know, she's not going to play the bombshell,
Yeah.
but she's a very talented. And so, yeah, man, I on a lark. I right when I got back from Portugal, I saw the theater because I got that lead role a couple years ago here in this play called The Man Who Came to Dinner. It was an old Broadway comedy. And I was
Remember
like,
you talking about that last time? Yeah.
I hadn't done theater in like since 2007 or eight. I was like, damn, I sure picked a play to step back into. I'm on stage for 2.5 hours running my mouth. But yeah, I auditioned and Misery is something I'd be like, you know what, let me give that a shot. And I got the part. So I'm in the middle of rehearsals for that now. And we open November 7th.
I'm coming the 8th. I'm letting you know that. We'll talk more later, but I'm coming November 8th. So I just need to know how to get my ticket, what I got to do, and then I'm gonna come. I'm doing it.
Yeah, you come stay here, man. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, man.
Can I bring bourbon?
Yes, you can bring bourbon. Actually, and I'll drink it with you.
Oh, fuck yeah, that'd be cool. All right, no, that's cool. We're gonna do that. I'm coming November 8th.
Okay.
All right, but I do want to ask, you did just meet someone. Tell me about Mark Sibley. I've met him a few times up here. He's local to my hood.
That's right. That's right.
We
So
hang out.
yes, so Sibley, that motherfucker. So years ago, he had written this book called Mongol Moon, and he was
Yeah, I do
on
remember that. I have it.
on the interweb. I saw him on the Twitter.
World Wide Web.
By the way, do you call it X? I've never called it X. I'm going to call it Twitter forever.
I've tried a lot on this podcast, and I just can't. It's always going to be Twitter. I think
Yeah, and it's never going to be Fort Liberty. It's always going to be Fort Bragg.
No, it's
so
Fort fucking Bragg. I real quick. I like to troll people on Facebook sometimes, so I went and responded. Someone was like, "Trump wants to talk and convert Fort Liberty back to Fort Bragg." All I wrote was the word "good." Just that word, bro. You should see the fucking replies. like I'm the most racist fucking person in the history of humanity.
Well, you are. Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
And if you take a look at your family, it's very obvious.
and it's hilarious because you know who's commenting? People who never served a fucking day in the military, which cracks me
Not
even
that.
more. It's like they're so like, why do you give a fuck what this fucking place is called? Let alone whether like you're never gonna convince guys like yourself who literally that's your fucking home. Like, oh
Same the
yeah, no,
same
I'll call
people.
it Fort Liberty now. Same with Benning. Oh yeah, well, I mean, granted, Hal Moore's a cool dude, but it's always gonna be Fort Benning, right? Just always,
Betting.
yeah,
It's betting. It's
yeah.
betting. It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to change Fort Bragg, then why would you name it like Fort Ridgeway for like Matthew Ridgway for the 82nd in World War II, or like Fort Benavidez from the SF the seventh
Yeah.
this SF guy who got the Medal of Honor in Vietnam. Like that would be I would accept that change. Fort Liberty is a sanitized, don't offend anybody name, and you can go fuck
It's the
yourself.
worst fucking name you could have ever came up with. It
So
is the
stupid.
worst fucking name.
It's like
It's
the Washington
fucking corny.
Command. It's like the Washington
Yeah.
Commanders. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
The own people in that fucking reservation are related to that guy who was used as the fucking the logo of the Redskins. Wanted to be called the Washington Redskins, but no, that's fucking it's
Yeah, the white liberals were offended.
oh my god!
Yeah.
Like look at the fucking Cleveland Guardians who are playing right now in Game 5. You know Nick's big Cleveland fan.
Yeah.
They're literally playing right now, but now they're the guard. They're not the Cleveland Indians anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know they changed
Oh
the
yeah.
name. I don't.
Well, and it is cool because everyone's like Cleveland Guardians. Apparently, like the Guardian is like this thing on a bridge in Cleveland who's been there for hundreds of years or 100 and some years or whatever, and is supposed to watch over traffic goers or some shit. I may be completely wrong, but the term Guardian actually means something to Cleveland. So great, got it. However, still the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, and it's not that that's not a good name. It's the reason why you changed it.
Exactly. It's
That's the
fucking
problem.
stupid. Like
Yeah,
grow
it's
the fuck up. Like, do we have to
self
change everything?
self-indulgent, and the people who are offended are the ones who don't even give a fuck. Like the same people who destroyed Star Wars were never Star Wars fans, or you know what I mean. They don't care. They don't care. It's just like, wow, we don't have enough representation. Shut the fuck
Yeah.
up.
Speaking of people we don't care about, let's get back to Mark Sibley.
Sibley, yeah. So anyway, so Mark had Mongol Moon, and I had seen it. I said, hey man, um, I can't remember if he sent me a copy or if I might have went and just bought it on Amazon. He ended up sending me a copy, I think. Anyway, I got a copy of it and I read it, and it was legitimately really fucking great. And I actually texted,
good book.
and he even said to me when I just saw him the other day here at the beach, he goes, dude, it was so funny when you read the book. You reached out to me and gave me your phone number and said, call me. I want to talk to you about this book. And Mark said, he goes, I thought you're either really, really, really cool or just fucking crazy. So I talked to him, and I was like, dude, I said, you really have the gift. And so we've just connected that way. And several years ago, there was he was talking about, people were saying he was going to do the audiobook, and people were like, hey, have Schappert do it. And he's like, well, the publisher's already got somebody. And he actually said that to me. I said, hey man, no problem. I said, no problem. But then I guess that fell through, and he goes, can you do it? And I was like, yes. Boy, what a freaking nut roll that was, bro. Cause it was it was 800 accents, and I'm toggling through.
I need to go listen to you actually do it, but I do like, wait, okay. So here's what I want. Did you do a Dance of Devils as well?
Yeah, I did. I
Okay.
did.
All right. So there's now the females that are in that. How do you do those voices?
I just soften my voice a little bit. I don't try to be. I mean,
Okay,
I can't.
can you do a little bit for us right now?
So I had to do a Chinese. I
Yeah,
had to do
there's a Chinese female, right?
So for Chinese, I sort of had an accent sort of like this, like a little bit lower. Yeah, a
Love
little
it.
bit.
That's fucking awesome.
So I mean, and here's the thing. I'm not a professional voiceover guy, but I also
Yeah,
didn't
but you're
want
a
to.
fucking actor. Like that's like this.
Yeah.
Like this is cool. Like that's
So
people
I
don't
can do
realize that
that.
you're actually like you aren't just fucking SF Terry. Like you're a fucking actor. Like this is
Yeah,
what you did.
and from the text, you should be able to get the flow and the pauses and stuff like that, and sort of get the drama in it. But like and then I had to do like a Scottish one and a Russian one, and it was just kind of quick.
Yeah,
Iranian.
especially in the Dance of Devils. I know there's that whole Scottish.
Oh God, Dance of Devils was crazy. But anyway, yeah. So it was so Sibley, and he's going to do another one. He's got a third one he's working on.
Did you ask him where the fourth book is?
No, I'm not
That's
going
the
to do
running joke. Is you got to ask him. Okay, great. We know there's gonna be a third, but where's the fourth book? Mark?
right.
Where's
They're also putting together an anthology of all of our people. And by the way, I told him, I said, dude, you're dealing with me. it's been a shitty summer anyway. Not shitty, but it's been very, very heavy duty with what's going on with mom and everything. So,
Yeah.
but I said, dude, I don't type effectively. So you know what I do? I actually write shit on legal pads. And he started cracking up. But I told him about my concept of the story because I speak Czech and I spent a lot of time in Prague. I was like,
Really?
what a
That's cool.
I wanted to actually have a supernatural angle to my story. It takes place during all the crazy shit during Dance of Devils, but it's almost like there's a Call of Cthulhu element to it too that this SF guy comes across, and he was like, I love it. So I'm going to try to get into the second anthology, and I know the third book there's going to be some South African, so I have to talk like a South African.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it is fucking cool. Did you notice? Did you drink with him? Were you just hanging out at the beach? Because he drinks Chardonnay. Did you know that he drinks Chardonnay?
He was drinking red wine, and it's
Oh,
funny.
he was actually drinking red wine. Usually, it's just Chardonnay. Holy shit! Impressive.
Yeah, no, he was drinking, and it was funny. He knew what time I was going to get there. I had to go to rehearsal later, so I only had a couple hours with him because he was here from Sunday to this past Thursday, and I didn't get back into town till Tuesday, and I drove directly from my mom's straight to the theater and did a rehearsal. So I said, dude, I can see you Wednesday. But he was leaving Thursday, so that was the only time I could see him. So I drove down. I think I went to. He was in Nag's Head, which is south of me, and so yeah, I had a couple hours. We just sat on the deck, and Mallet Works actually made me a wooden Christmas ornament with Larry, which really touched my heart. I told Cindy, I said, dude, give him my fucking number. So he texted me the other day and I called him, but I missed him. I got to call him back. He texted me back. He's like, man, I'm sorry. But I just said, dude, that's really touching and sweet, and Sylvie gave me some pads. And we just literally, what's so funny? Here's the thing. So I had about 2 hours with him. We were sitting on the deck of this, condo that he and his family were renting. I met his mom and his dad. His dad died quite a long time ago. His mom and his mom's sister, his mom's friend and her husband and his brother and his girlfriend who were tanked. They were funny. But yeah, we sat on the back deck and literally 2 hours flew by so fucking fast. I looked at my watch and go, oh shit, dude, I got to go to rehearsal. So that's how like you're with somebody who like you enjoy.
He's super easy to hang out and talk with. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a really nice guy. He really does. I get the vibe and from talking to him that he really respects guys like us, know. Oh, he knows that we're a bunch of knuckleheads, but he respects what we've done, Well,
he is one too. And he's done some cool shit prior to.
Yeah, that's the thing too. He filled me in a little more on some of what he did.
He's very unassuming and kind of brushes it off. And I'm like, bro, fucking crisis management is fucking cool. And I know who some of the companies he's worked for. Like, dude, that's fucking cool shit. I mean, that's why he knows so much of what he does with these books.
Well, right? That's why I asked him too, because I started because I was very curious as someone who really appreciates his books. I said, "Tell me how that germinated for you." And he talked about his experiences doing what he's doing. I said, "Well, dude, when I was reading Mongol Moon, I got, God damn, this is like pretty prescient because
it's prescient, but it's also like there's so much detail of just like how the fuck do you know this shit?
How do you know that, right? And but more than that though, someone could write a book in that genre that is, maybe technically dense and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I think but Sibley's better than that. He's got that piece of it, but because he's got the technical stuff. But I think what makes this thing so good is the character development and the story and the way the story moves along, and it just moves along at a really great pace. And it was nice to meet him. I always want, that's one of my goals is to meet more of our guys that we're always dealing with here on Twitter. I have to admit, I've been a bit of a hermit the last few years. I mean, I live at the beach. I spend time with my mom, taking care of her. And then, I work. And then it's kind of like, I don't know, man. I kind of turtle up a little bit. I got my dogs and I mean, I'm
November 8th, Terry.
If you're really serious, you got to let me. Okay. Yeah.
I'll sit there. I'll sleep on that chair right there. It'll be great.
You can. Well, what I'll do is this is going to be good if you come. It'll force me to fucking clean this room up because then you can sleep in here with the ventriloquist dummies. And I have an air like this. Plug in. It's like electronic air bed. It's like a queen double sized bed.
Oh shit.
Yeah. You'll sleep well here. You'll sleep well.
That'd be great. I am dead 100% serious. I'd love to do it.
Unless you want to come watch the fucking show and say I think it's going to suck, then you're not coming. But I don't think it's going to suck. I think it's going to be good.
No, well, if it sucks, that's even better. I'm just there to hang out. I'm not going to heckle you or anything, unless you want to be heckled. I can heckle you.
If it
I don't
sucks,
want
if it sucks, it's even better. Even
yeah,
better.
yeah.
Oh, he's the director's this young guy. He's really creative guy. And he's got to put some really interesting multimedia stuff into the beginning and the end, and it's going to be even cooler than the script that I've
Yeah.
seen.
I
Yeah.
wanted to, when we were talking about that yesterday, it brought to mind. So my daughter, I don't know what type of music you listen to, if you listen to anything current or whatever, but my daughter's a big Starset fan, band called Starset, and they do kind of like, I don't know, like a futuristic type of vibe, and they kind of talk about, you know, government's corrupt and all, and I think they come across pretty conservative, which is good. I'm glad she's listening to that shit. But they're like a very techno type of rock style. And I've
I
taken
might
her.
like that.
Yeah, you might. I mean, but I've taken her to see them in concert twice. First time was at the House of Blues in Chicago. Great show. I was like, wow, these guys are actually pretty fucking good. And there's like a seven. They're like a seven piece. Like they bring violinists to come out and do shit with them on stage and all. Yeah, like they're pretty creative band. Like it does get a lot of it sounds very similar over and over. Like I mean, there's not a huge range to them or anything, but they're a fun listen. But the second concert we just went to in Chicago again, and we went to this theater that they had it in, and this time their entire performance was in conjunction with like a video, like a movie. So they would project a movie onto the stage and they wouldn't be there. And you'd be watching this movie and all of a sudden it would break into them performing the song that went along with that scene. So it
Oh,
was like an
cool.
hour and a half, 2 hour movie slash concert at the same time. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty fucking cool. And my daughter was like, yeah, like have you seen anything like that? I'm like, no, I've been to tons of concerts. We've been to fucking Iron Maiden together twice. I mean, I've been to Iron Maiden. Like, greatest band ever live is Iron Maiden, based on the performance that they do. But I've never seen a band incorporate a movie into their show. And I thought it was fucking clever, creative. It was pretty fucking cool.
Pink Floyd used to have concerts like that,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, they did a lot of
Oh, cool.
multi stuff. And also, I saw a video a little while back. They had it was out in some outdoor amphitheater, and they had the full orchestra. Again, not a rock band, but orchestra, and they were playing live to the Lord of the Rings movie
Oh,
to
shit.
Fellowship.
That's fucking cool.
Fuck,
That's clever, man. That's fucking.
that's good. That's
I
good.
respect art, right? Like I
Yeah.
respect. I've always been. I respect art. Like. I think the coolest thing that I've always felt from a very young age is like I don't care what it is when you can watch someone do something that they are the best at, no matter what it is, sports, fucking art, music,
Great.
whatever. Like that shit moves me. Like and I'm like I'll tear up sometimes over some dumb shit, Terry. Like I'll be watching some fucking thing on TV or I'll watch and I'm like, holy shit, that's what the fuck am I? What is it? What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because I
That's
love
beautiful
seeing
though.
the
That's
best.
beautiful. That's beautiful though.
Yeah.
That's the gift that humans have, is to be able to plug into something, because the art that you're talking about, and whether it's a visual art like painting or sculpture or music or writing or a combination of all that kind of stuff, you're tapping into some sort of deep neurological response that is just, that's the point of it. Like art away, and not to say art in a way is a bit of a pull of a curtain away on truth, and I think that's, and these are deep truths that will affect a human being's response. Dude, there's all sorts of stuff that actually I feel the emotion coming up when it happens. And you know what? I don't feel bad about that at all. I
No,
actually think
it's
that's
the recognition of beauty, and that's what I've hated about what our culture or our society today tries. Oh, everyone's beautiful. No, you're fucking not.
no, you're
Beauty
not.
is you know beauty when you see it in anything, athletes, music, art, whatever. You can see it. You know it instantly. It's God, what is
And then
what
you
is the
actually, because it's on that level of when it's on the level, you're not even seeing it anymore. You're actually now feeling it,
yeah.
and it's translating into a deeper physiological response with like heart rate and neurons firing. So I think, yeah, man, that's the point of it. That's the point of it. I do think it's interesting. Again, I'm not an art. My brother is a very talented artist. He got all the talent in the family, but like when you go and you walk through a cathedral or something like that, and you actually just look up and you see what's above you, it's like that. The whole purpose of that art was to draw your gaze upward and to keep it there. And in doing that,
Yeah.
and doing that,
Well, that's
you're now in a different place. You're in a different place, and that's real. I feel like art should elevate the experience of living, not denigrate it or actually make it lower. That's
no,
not
and,
art.
and it just brought me. I had to look it up real quick. That's what I was doing. But
I thought you were selling stocks or something like you're
no.
bored.
I was looking. There's a term. I remember when I went and did my CrossFit level 1. You know, they teach you the whole methodology behind CrossFit.
Oh, you do CrossFit? I didn't know
Yeah, you
that.
had no idea, did you?
No, I would never know.
CrossFit stands for cross fitness. Anyway, but no, there's a term that they use called virtuosity, and it's like, what is virtuosity? Virtuosity is doing the common uncommonly well.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
And so, but that goes right back to what I just said with beauty, right? Anyone can make fucking anyone like look right here, Terry. You see what's right here? Look, I got a fucking guitar right here, right? I can play it. I'm not fucking, Jimi Hendrix or anybody who like, holy
Can you
shit.
play guitar? Can you play guitar?
Yeah. Hold on, yeah, I can play a fucking guitar. I'm a fucking I love metal and old school metal and all that cool shit.
Oh, dude, I just learned. I did not know that about you. That's really cool.
Yeah. I've always been into music, but that's my thing is like doing the common uncommonly well. Like there are certain people who can do like, and that's what they were meant for. That's what they were put here for.
Right.
Just like beauty.
Yes.
Not everyone's fucking beautiful. You and I are, but most people aren't, Terry. Let's be honest.
I think my beauty, such as it is, Eric, is like because of my age, I'm like a beautiful antebellum mansion that's falling into decrepitude. But you can
say antebellum. Is that okay? Is that it's not racist?
I can say no, it's fine. And you could see that. You could see sort of the faded glory in me. Like you're like, yeah, he must have been something. But even now, the little glimpse comes through of like, wow, look at that line, look at that angle.
I'm not gonna lie, like I know of you here, and I know you served, but you were older when you came back. I am curious to see like what the fuck did anthropology major Terry look like in college? That's what I want to see. I want to see like how you were younger, bro, with hair.
I had fucking fantastic. I didn't have long hair, but I had.
I believe you had some '80s flow, bro.
I did '80s, and in the '80s, I had the hair parted down the middle.
That's fucking awesome.
And then I ended up parting my hair on the side my sophomore year in college. I still had, I had fucking the haircut thing. I didn't have long.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna be 59 in December, and it was funny because like. Every now and then I'll see myself in a recent picture. Like that picture with Sibley. Like, God, I look like a fucking like real world version of old Popeye. Like that's what I've become.
Like you guys are like the same age. You guys got to be pretty close.
I'm young. I'm older than him. He's 55.
Okay.
He's 55.
Well, you look way better than him. That's for sure.
Just because I'm
Suck it, author boy. Go write a book.
That's because I'm still ripped and dangerous. I'm still ripped and dangerous.
That's true.
You got to stay dangerous. I mean, I'm not as dangerous as I was 20 years ago.
Still capable of danger. That's okay.
Yeah. And maybe even potentially more effective because I'm less, I'm a little more careful and a little more thoughtful.
A little more measured. Measured is what we call it. Yeah. That's a good shirt for you. You should just get that shirt. Still capable of danger, ... There you go.
Still dangerous.
I mean, I just gave Clay Martin when he was on last, another shirt idea. It's like, build your network. That's his thing. Build your network. Sure.
Yeah. By the way, I got to go back. I think that was on when I was in Portugal. How'd that go? Clay's something else.
He's fucking awesome. No, I love it. Like he's cool. And what I love about Clay is like everything's like straight to the point, and it's great. Like, I love talking to Clay. Anytime you would
have been a good guy to be a team on. I actually have to. There's 2 books I finished, and I've just been lazy and just haven't gone on Twitter. I read Clay's book,
The Barbarian Spirit one.
Spirit, and
that was crazy to me. Like I had no idea that's what that was about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I started reading. I was like, wait, is this what I think it's going to be now? Yeah. Holy, took a lot of balls.
Let me ask you that though. I do want to ask you about that because you are Catholic. Oh, you're breaking up. Come back.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think the World Wide Web was slowing down.
I will say the internet at the beach is really shitty. Like I turned my phone off of my wireless fidelity.
Yeah.
Getting Wi-Fi from my phone because like the spectrum thing out here is just the beach is just it just goes away for days. Yeah.
So I bring it up because I've always been curious about this, like, especially, I did convert to Catholic. We talked about that last time. I converted at the
Yes.
Easter Vigil this year. Um, you sent me
I'm so
full,
happy for you. I'm so happy for you.
fuck yeah. But I know from what I've heard and listened to some priests talk, weed is not something that Catholics should be doing. Alcohol's fine because it's very different. But I'm just curious, like, what's your take on that from the mushroom thing, like the psychedelics? I don't know how. I haven't heard much talked about on that. I was just curious how that would be perceived by.
I think, yeah, I mean, I haven't really paid that much thought to it. I think it's okay. I do think it's okay. I think, again, I think, I mean, this, because it is, psilocybin it's out there. It's like weed. I get it. I understand, especially this, because I was just up, I did Gutfeld like a week and a half ago, and I hadn't been for a year and a half. But even years ago, when I went up to the city where I used to live, I remember saying on the show, I was like, dude, how come New York now, everywhere I go, it smells like piss and weed smoke? And I think the problem, and
Sounds
I'm
like
walking,
California.
well, yeah, or like San Diego was like that. And I'm like, here's the thing. I get it. You want to legalize it, go ahead. But I don't think you can really show any data that marijuana is like, I don't know if it's a net positive anymore. I don't know.
No,
But
no, weed
I will
fucking. I
say,
think it's the dumbest thing we've allowed.
well, I also say this too. I mean, like, well, I'm walking in Times Square because they put me up in this hotel by the Fox Studios, and I get in usually in the afternoon, and I get to check in a hotel and kind of chill out, and then we go tape. So there's this deli I walk down the street to and get a sandwich. This was years ago. Before, it's worse now. But like, I'm walking down the street, I'm walking through clouds of fucking marijuana smoke. I
Yeah.
smell urine. And then I go to this deli, there's a scaffold in front of it, scaffolding because they're built. And there's this dude, shirtless dude, leaning against the scaffolding, rolling a huge joint. 10 feet away on the corner is a cop standing on the corner. And there's children walking through. They're
Fucking
walking
ridiculous,
through all
man.
this. And I thought, no. If in Amsterdam, they've legalized marijuana, but you can't smoke it in the street,
Right.
right?
It's
So
cafes and it's
almost like this. There's almost like this. Once it, I hate to say it, but almost like once you start that road, it
too
just
late.
becomes, it just
Oh.
seems more lax and more shitty.
I mean,
Like there's
like
like the,
DC's been the worst. Like I experienced it first in California. And, I was in the suburbs of Sacramento. Like I was like, holy fuck! Like it's fucking everywhere. And then San Francisco, very different. San Francisco it's not weed you got to worry about out in the open. It's fucking straight up needles and people shooting up.
whoa,
Like I
God,
remember taking my daughter to a Giants game when she was, I
I
don't know,
can't imagine that.
12. Bro, we're sitting at the over when you come off the Bay Bridge off of I-80 to get into San Francisco to go to Oracle Park where the Giants play. You come off of it's like exit 2A and you're right under an overpass. And at the time, there's a huge homeless encampment. And I look out and there's just some dude shooting up fucking heroin. And the first thing I do is like, let me look in the rear view mirror. What's my daughter doing? She's staring out the window. It's like, okay. Immediately across the street, there's $5,000 a month apartments. It's like, what are we fucking doing? What are we doing?
It's very dystopian, and I think it is not compassionate to let people live that way. It's actually
No, it's
cruel.
fucking stupid. You're right. It is. It is cruel. It's like, oh, go ahead and shoot up, and we got this needle exchange program. It's like, okay, like that's fucking dumb. Let's not have a standard anymore to live in society, an organized one. Let's just let everyone fucking shoot up heroin on the fucking street corner because that's cool.
I also think one of the reasons why I mean, the people who have pushed for the legalization of marijuana, I think a lot of them have good intention. I do. I don't think they're all at you, but I would say this. I think again, not conspiratorially here, but I think if you can medicate and drug up a society, they are way more compliant and they're way more easy to be manipulated. So like you have these young guys now that basically sit around and they're just getting high and they're watching Netflix, playing video games, and there's not a lot of drive to them. It does take away your ambition. And I think, I do think that marijuana actually is, I mean, dude, I sometimes take gummies to go to sleep because it's just good to go to sleep. And I do think marijuana actually has its uses in creativity because sometimes you say, wow, it can really kind of fall into something.
No, I get
But
that.
again, the problem is you keep going down that. And I just see a lot of people that they just seem a bit like husks, like they don't seem,
No, I
And
had
if
a great
that's
so Father Dan Beeman, and I don't know if you ever interacted with him on Twitter. He's not really on there that much anymore, or if you ever did. But I mean, I had him on the podcast years ago, and I've had him back. He gave me actually the the cross I have hanging. Once I converted. Great dude. He came up and we hung out and drank all fucking night in Arlington one night. It was cool because he was doing like one for every one of my two. So it's cool. but we had a really great conversation, and a lot of it was about you know what's affecting young men. And then I just did a podcast with this guy, Benjamin. He's big Catholic, really smart young man. You would love this dude if you ever, it was like a 3 hour one. I'm not telling you to go listen to all 3 hours, but he's a very bright kid. Um, Father Beeman was telling me like the biggest thing he sees in young men right now is so many of them because of marijuana. They're not getting girlfriends. They're not talking to women. They're not interacting. It's all porn. It's like they're you have this generation of men coming up that are just completely detached, not
yeah,
dating, not doing any of the and the common theme happens to be fucking marijuana. That's why
interesting.
I go back, like, bro, like, look, how do we pull from this pool of men if we ever, God forbid, need a real military response to something?
Right.
We're
Right.
we're we're poisoning our future
We're in big
by
trouble.
allowing this shit.
Yeah. And if you talk to guys too, I think I might have spoken with you about this. I remember years ago, I was at my mom's and I was getting something done in my car, and this guy walks in. I couldn't tell what patch, and I said, "Hey, boss," we start talking, and he was a recruiter, a regular army recruiter, which was like, I feel bad for him already.
Yeah.
But I was asking him too. I said, "How is the? This is when Trump was president. I
Yeah.
think this was even before." And he goes, "Yeah, it's tough." And I was talking to some guys too that one of the guys I work with at Robin Sage, he was the NCOIC, non-commissioner officer in charge of selection. So he was out there at SFAS, Special Forces Assessments. Like, great guy, what a fucking cool guy. And he's retired now, and I'm psyched because he's working on my lane. We work together, and he's. I said, what's the general? What happens in selection? What kind of guys you getting in selection? The guys that I see in Robin Sage have already proven themselves. They've been in the pipeline for several years. They've gone through a lot. This is their final thing. Some of them might not do that great at Robin Sage. Maybe they have to recycle. The only way they're not going to pass is if they're just if they really fall apart, or there's like an honor violation or something like that. But most of them at this point now just have to make a mental adjustment in a guerrilla warfare thing. But Tom, the SFAS guy, said, dude, there's guys showing up that are just like physically soft. They're just physically soft. Like, they'll put a rucksack on these dudes, and this is like some of the stuff is coming like when even that get out of basic, and they're like fracturing the necks of their femurs. They're having these stress fractures and all sorts of problems, physical problems, and they're just not mentally resilient. They're just not mentally tough. And now those guys get dropped right away. They're done. But I've looked in some other regular Army recruiting stuff. I mean, we have a hard time right now. First of all, like we were talking before, what young stud sitting there on, getting out of high school or whatever is going to think right now, I want to go fight for the U.S. Like, not really, no. But even then, to your point about kids that have kind of checked out and they're just sort of smoking weed and pretty sedentary, and they're not competing in anything. They're not competing against other guys. They're not competing against themselves, which is a problem, because competition actually is the forge that get tempered in,
Yeah.
whether it's competing against yourself or competing against other people. So yeah, there's a general in general, there's a larger degree of sort of mentally and physically soft guys. Now, like I said, the guys that I'm seeing, they're great, man.
Yeah.
I'd want these guys on my team. They're young and they're problem solvers. They're aggressive. They're smart. But to get to that group, you have to get rid of a lot of them. And I think, yeah, I don't know, man. We'll
Well,
see.
I will say, so here's my thing, and this comes after recruiting for a little more than 6 years in the state of California. What I never had an issue was guys interested in 18X. Never had an issue finding them. And the ones that I did put in, I think I put 5, and I know of 2 that I don't know if that dude made it or not. Anyway, the 5 of them were like, holy shit.
They're good.
These are dudes, right? And the last one I'm really surprised about because this dude, he came to us. He was going to this school in the college was kind of like a maritime college, and it was it like teaches them like how to essentially they're becoming fucking like ship captains. Essentially, it's like this is what that type of school is.
Almost like a merchant marine college or something.
Yes, and he came and he had a water polo background. He was from Southern California. Dude looked just like straight up fucking straight out of Central Casting, beach lifeguard type look, right?
Yeah,
super fucking smart. Like I think he got the highest ASVAB score. Like he got a 99 on the ASVAB. His GT score was like fucking my area code. Like he's fucking smart.
Yeah.
And I still keep in touch with him. Him and I talk a lot. I put him in touch with Red actually to do a few like, hey, here's a guy I know who's SF that can, teach.
Did he make it?
No, he didn't make it. When he told me he didn't make it, I'm like, what happened? He said it was a maturity thing. And I was like, what? You're like one of the most fucking mature dudes that ever walked to my office. You knew exactly what you wanted, blah, blah, blah. So long story short on him, he just texted me a couple days ago. He's going to Ranger School. He's like, I'm going to just do that, and then I'm going to go try again. Like he's not defeated by any means. Like he's going to go try and continue to do it.
If he does that, that'll be – first, Ranger School is great. I'm glad I went to that too. But listen – and it's not a perfect system, too. I was talking to Tom about that.
I was just surprised. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't go through selection. I don't fucking know what it takes to get through it. I just know guys that I know that have made it. I'm like, you are not immature. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they told him.
Things, but you're clearly not immature. Yeah, I think, I think also, listen, at the end of the day, you are being evaluated by human instructors, and they make mistakes, and also sometimes there's personality gets involved in it. You never know. We used to call it RI roulette. If you get that RI that he just doesn't like the look of you. I mean, I think that's generally not so prominent. I think most of the guys try to be pretty objective, but
I wonder if that's the thing though, because like I said, how did I describe him? Central Casting lifeguard, bro. Like 6'2", long blonde hair, fucking blue eyes. Just that dude. He just looks like, okay, if you told me you were SF, like, yeah, I would imagine this guy's the guy. But yeah, I hope he ends up making it. I'm still in touch with him. I keep telling him, like, let me know because I want to come to your graduation. Like he's a great kid, great dude, great family. Like I want to actually be there for that guy. And so I'm just
like, do you feel like though? I'm sort of watching now too. I'm getting the vibe. Tell me what you think about this. I feel like actually there's maybe a bit of a corner being turned because I do feel like there is a response to the sort of feminization and sort of beating down of the idea of the masculine ideals. Masculinity is not, kicking ass. Masculine is I think you're honor driven, you are a protector, you're task driven, you're like, that all the things that we're supposed to do as men. I feel like there's some of the younger guys coming up seem to be embracing that. They're certainly craving it. And I think that, if you lead them, they will follow if you do that. Because I think a lot of young people, enough maybe, are going to see the emptiness of what's been being sold to them now.
I would say I would 100% agree with you, especially from the state of California. I would say like the first 3 years I was at was in Placer County, north suburbs of Sacramento. The only aside from I think Orange County, really the only super conservative congressional district in Northern California. I think McClintock was the congressman for a while. I don't know if he still is. But I would go to every one of those high schools. And this was 2016 was when I got there. Like this was right after, right when the election, I got there. Like I told you the story already. I got there mid-October. I watched the election in a fucking Thunder Valley casino in Roseville, or actually in Lincoln. And like, I was just like, is this shit happening? Like grown adults crying because Trump was winning. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But then I would go to the schools and I'd be like, wow, these kids, like, I saw this picture with this kid. I remember he came up that takes it. I don't know if he joined or not, but he's like, yeah, got a fucking MAGA hat on in the middle of his class. I was just like, yeah, this is crazy. I bring him up because he's probably early 20s, maybe mid 20s now. The reason I think there's going to be a shift into what you're saying is that the kids coming up, my daughter included, she's a freshman at college right now, right? She doesn't know who the fuck CNN or anything. Like they don't watch that shit.
Right.
There's stuff from they get everything exclusively from this.
Right.
No one
Right.
watches fucking CBS News. Like no one gives a fuck about Fox News. No one cares about that shit that
Right.
are coming
Right.
up, right? We still somewhat, do, but these kids are going to make their own political decisions. They're going to
Yeah.
they're going to formulate their own beliefs. And I think men, from what you're saying, yes, there is a problem, I think, based on what Father Beeman told me about specifically that group of men who are between 21 and 30 right now. Like, there's definitely still a pool of them who, like I just described, you're like, yeah, all I want to do is fucking do cool shit in the military and go become SF. Great, I got it. There is that pool. There always will be that pool.
Yeah. They're always going to be that.
And,
Right.
but then there's also, I think, this next, and I don't even know if they're Gen Z. It might be whoever's going to come after them. I'm talking about the kids who are like teenagers now, mid-teens, not like my daughter who's about to be 19. I'm like mid-teens who I don't think are influenced one bit or the other by all this fucking left-wing weird shit that goes on to them. Because I think they're getting pummeled with it from an early age in school. And I think the natural response to that is to revolt.
Rebel.
Rebel.
That's the point I was going to say too. The left for the longest time sold itself as and was the de facto
rebels, right?
Counterculture,
Yeah.
right? So, stick it to the man, fucking
Now
fuck.
they are the man. Like
I said that on Gutfeld show some time ago. I said, remember, the left was the antithesis and the enemy of the man, but until they became the man. And so now all these things that you consider counterculture or rebellion, like, no. That's actually, you are now, that's actually a demand for you to get in the herd and to be, and to like the whole thing about, all these old rock stars that are like, take the vaccine, wear the mask, eat the bugs, listen to the government. And yet you're Mike Ness from Social Distortion. You're a Joe Biden and Hillary and Kamala voter. Get the Henry Rollins. I'm a liar. Yeah, you are. You are, Henry.
Because remember those fucks? I won't fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. Bullshit. Yes, you will.
Yeah, thank you. I will do what you tell me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're just.
And that goes, just don't elevate fucking people above what they are. Like you're a band. You're a fucking band. I like your music.
I also think the young, the worst ones I hate are the boomer left wing Catholics. That fuck you.
Oh God.
You got such a great life, and you don't care because you're leaving the stage. I think a lot of the young people are looking around going, wow, wait a minute, man. It's pretty damn hard to save money. Shit's really expensive. I'm being told that as a boy, I just have to shut up or whatever. And if a woman, I have to, don't have a family, don't do that kind of stuff. Go be a middle manager at, fucking UBS bank and be 40 years old and go, man, I wish I would have had children. So I do feel like some of the young people, because of what you said, their access to the internet and the communication with their friends, they're going, nah, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. And like you said, they're not being fed from the legacy media. They're not doing it. And so the kids have a streak of rebellion.
They don't watch. They stream everything, dude. They don't give a fuck about these channels. Like they don't even have cable. They got an internet provider and they're streaming accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go over what they're saying, like what I really think is going to save and turn a lot of people, it's just the upcoming priests in the Catholic Church, man. Like
thank you very much, man.
Right. So I moved down, like I started at a really great, I think I talked about this with you last time, but I'm at they maybe even be more conservative now church. And I fucking love them, but they got this old mid-70s priest and he's fucking great. Old school Italian New Yorker guy who's here. Right. And so he just did this thing throughout the summer, Sundays with Father. And it was like a 6-part series and I only got to see 3 of them. But one of the things he was talking about is like, and he's talking about this, one of the other priests, he's a young guy, probably early 30s, maybe late 20s. I don't know. And he's very conservative as well. But he's like, the reason you're going to see that is all of what came out of Reformation II in the 60s.
Vatican II.
Vatican II, right? everything that's came from that one, from when I
That's
was in
fair.
seminary to now, he's like, the reason you're going to see nothing but conservative priests is all because of that. And there's been
Yeah,
this shift back. So all these priests coming now that are coming out of seminary and all the ones, they're all going to be right. They're all going to
that
be
makes,
because
you know
they
what?
realize that
Actually,
you can't like and I see it. It's like it's a basic slogan, right? But this account, I think it's Pray the Rosary, or it may even be Catholic Vote. It's like you can't be Catholic and pro-choice. Can't. You just
yeah,
can't.
you don't get. It's not a buffet that you pick things. It's not a
No,
buffet you pick things. You're
there's
either in it or you're not. And if you're not, that's fine. But don't. There's like, yeah,
saying
Catholic
you're
choice.
Catholic. You're not.
You know, Kamala Harris. Do you remember a couple years ago, bro? A
Knights of
couple years ago,
Columbus.
Kamala Harris identified Knights. If your
Knights of
membership, if you
Columbus,
remember
yeah.
Knights of Columbus, is
Which I
your
just
rep.
joined recently, by the way.
By the
What
way,
up?
I saw that. Which, by the way, man, again, you know, I want to say this. You're younger, and I fucking can't stand you because you mock my age. But I admire a lot of what you're doing, and I'm not joking. You've inspired me. And the next year when I kind of get settled in, I haven't been here all summer, but I'm actually going to look into. They have Knights of Columbus here at Holy Redeemer here in the Outer Banks, and I know a couple of the old guys there, and you know what? I do think. You know, and I'm not old guys. Not me calling someone old. How funny. So the 80-year-olds, I'm 60. But I mean, like, I feel like there's going to be an injection of new, because again, you can cover the truth up, but you can't really ultimately, it'll keep uncovering itself. It'll get exposed. And I think we crave that truth. And you know, it's been such a,
Never died. It's
and
never
it's
died.
been such a lie. The biggest lie Catholics have been told, and Christianity in general, but you know, I speak as a Catholic, is that we're supposed to be passive and meek and let people hurt us. No, 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 no. We wouldn't be on a computer right now. We wouldn't be going to university if we didn't have Catholics that actually whipped the sword out and said, "Fucking, you're not coming any closer," and they took it to them. And so that's what we have to have, a muscular, aggressive Catholicism that, listen, that's the beauty. That's kind of like, you ever follow on Twitter the guy, the Chivalry Guild? You ever
Yeah,
follow that
yeah,
guy?
yeah. No, you told me about that last time. Yeah, I got all those. Oh, I got
You
all the Trad West is another good account. Follow Trad.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And I
Love
think
that.
these dudes, when you read these things, you're like, yes, yes, that is real glory. That is real. Because I think so much other stuff is just so sort of just kind of empty, and it's just very very
Men
fleeting
don't
and not.
want that. Men don't want that though. Like I'm glad I was woken up to it now. But you know what?
Yeah,
Like the fucking the modern church that's not Catholic sit there
fuck
and
off.
fucking like it's a fucking concert and we're gonna sit here and like yeah. I don't know if you saw it. I tweeted it out, but there's a Lutheran church that I pass when I go to the field to practice for baseball every time. And it was
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw it, but I posted this picture a couple weeks back. It's like now serving pumpkin spice communion.
they were joking, right?
No, they're not. It's fucking Lutherans, bro. You think they're joking? It's fucking like that's them. Like that's the shit that like. But anyway, real quick. So check it out. This is part of my Knights of Columbus package, right? Check that out. That Knights of Columbus coin. Look at that. For
Right
Virginia.
on, man.
Look at that. Have faith and fear not, Virginia, with the fucking.
Awesome.
Look at that.
The chalice.
Yeah, isn't that fucking cool? Like, dude,
Really cool.
all
I
these dudes
listen.
though, when I went and did my my
I
initiation and shit, like, bro, you would love.
I mean this sincerely. I mean this sincerely, bro. I really, really admire and respect you for doing that, because you know I was raised in that faith, so it was
Yeah,
kind of like, it's a gift that I think many times in my life I just took for granted and didn't even pay attention to. I always found guys like you that converted, and otherwise that one. So guys like you who came home, you
yeah,
actually came back home.
yeah.
Guys like you, I think, are some of the best spokesmen for our church, because like you came from that other side, you saw what it was missing and lacking, and now it's kind of like it. It's kind of like when we used to have people come to the United States from countries, they became so patriotic and so appreciative of what the U.S. was built on, because they saw what wasn't working for them. And I think I admire you. I think it's really cool as a young man like that, and not, you're not a young guy, but I mean, like, to coming over and convert to the church like that is, I think it's great, man. I like to hear that you say that the priests are saying that we got a new wave of
Oh yeah.
fucking.
Every young dude that like so where I started, doing RCIA last year, the two main priests. Um, One's a Navy vet. He's probably mid 30s, late 30s, maybe. The one that did my RCIA, he's probably early 30s. And yeah, like there's none of this like go along to get along bullshit. Like,
Well, and that's the thing that those people, some of those leaders in the church hierarchy, they need to be fucking. They got to go. You're done. You've done your damage. You're finished now. We need to get people back in. We need to honestly. We need to get fucking. We need to get.
But I was honestly like, I didn't know what to expect because I've never been. But like, I mean, this is the Diocese of Arlington, right? So you're expecting, oh, maybe they'll just because there are a lot of bad ones. Don't get me wrong, but I've been blessed, right? But yeah,
Right,
we're in the shadow of
yeah,
fucking DC, right? You know, and I've gone to the National Cathedral a few times. Like, I don't know if you've ever been there, but that is
no,
oh, not the National
never,
Cathedral. I'm talking about the shrine of the Immaculate Conception that they built up. Like, bro,
never
oh, I'm gonna send you some pictures when we're done. On like
beautiful.
this will fucking move you, bro. Like, this is
Wow.
like we finally we did our own cathedral that's like reminiscent of some of the shit you see in Europe. Like we did some.
Whoa, really?
But actually, I want you. Hang on one second. I want to get this. I want to show you some shit.
Yeah, do it.
Hey.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I didn't know if you would do some narration or anything, but anyway, so check this out. So I was just at my parents' place in Tennessee over the weekend, my mom's 70th birthday, and my dad gave me this, his father's stuff from World War II, right? So he was issued this at one point. Look at this.
I can't see that. Wait.
Can you see that?
Oh my God! Get the fuck out of here! Sliced herring.
Yeah. So he was Coast Guard in World War II. So I got his dog tag. Pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
I got we got some rank. Look at that. That's pretty
Nice.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
Check this shit out, bro. All right. And I don't know if it'll show properly via scale, but he had these dice.
What?
They're fucking tiny. He's like, yeah. You know, my dad would always tell me they play dice on the ships. Like, it's fucking cool as shit.
So now you have them.
Yeah, and now I have them, but here's where we get really cool. Because he was a Catholic. I got 2 of his fucking rosaries. Bro,
Man,
dude, look at this shit. The fucking craftsmanship, like, dude, these are not some cheap fucking plastic shit you get now at the Catholic gift store.
that's legitimate.
I want to go get this one cleaned up because this is pure silver. Like, this is fucking cool as shit, dude.
I wear my dad's. I ever since dad died, I have his crucifix on. Never. I mean,
Yeah, I definitely need to get one, man. But yeah, and I remember talking with you about this last time and the books you sent me and all, like, man, I don't know how I missed out on this for so long, but it's what you just described. And honestly, one of the priests that was doing my RCIA, like, he's like, it's jokingly, but not. He's like, you know, we may come to a point, maybe not in our lifetimes, but sometime soon, there may be a need for another fucking crusade because this country's becoming so godless.
yeah.
It's just not sustainable. You know, it's just really not. And especially when you go on the founding of this, like, why is it called Maryland? Like Maryland? Like what? Like seriously, like when you think about this stuff, like
The only problem I have, one thing I would say that bothers me, and I'm happy to fucking slam them. Any Catholic NGOs that are actually responsible for getting illegals into the country, you need to fucking crush them. They need to get crushed. Like, and there's some of them are doing
they're
that.
trying to make you feel like there are some out there that are really trying to make you feel like, oh, well, this is what Jesus would want. It's like, would he?
Yeah. Really? Are you sure about that? I don't like when people tell me that. Like, no. And by the way, if the United States is to be continue to be a powerful yet ever flawed, just like everybody, but if the U.S. is going to continue to be a powerful but sometimes flawed force for good in the world, we're going about everything we can to make sure that that's not the case. We're destroying that, and so you have to sort of sit there and go, sure, let's let everybody in, and these people, our own citizens, can suck it, but we'll get these because guess what? They're Spanish and they're Catholic. It has changed. Listen, I'm telling you now, man. the church that my mom, now she's moved, as I said, but, and again, it's not about disliking Hispanic people. I mean, that's not what it is. It's just we have now schools are being burdened. There's problems with, there's a lot of crime. There's like identity theft, people driving without insurance, and then they hit your car, and okay, no big deal. So, and hospitals get clogged up. What it does is it declines the quality of life for the people in here, and we're doing it so we can make ourselves feel good emotionally.
We're not asking for assimilation.
But what we're doing is anti-Christian, because what we're doing is we're relieving the people who they're fleeing, their leaders. We're relieving them of the responsibility of doing the right thing and being a good leader.
100%.
So, right. So, I mean, when you do that, they're happy to send everybody over here because, in Mexico and Guatemala, there's the haves and the have-nots. Dude, if I was there, I'd be wanting to come to the United States. Of course I would, right? Probably. So that's not the question. It's not you hate brown people or you hate. I remember I was on a show on Fox. This gal, what was her name? And Ebony was her name. She was nice. It was this this cool black chick. She was like a guest, one of the guests or one of the hosts of the show.
Kind of weird if she was white, named Ebony.
Yeah, her name was Ebony, and she was white. She was nice. She's very smart and a lawyer, left wing, but we always got along really well. She's nice, but she's very smart. But she was like, we were talking about immigration, and I was talking about something. She goes, well, don't you think that isn't that though what you're saying is just like hating on the brown man? I said, that's one of the most intellectually lazy things you can say. I said, I would feel the exact same way about what's happening on the southern border if everybody flooding across with their kids,
Ukraine or some shit.
If they had blue eyes, blonde hair, and spoke Swedish, I would be like, get the fuck out of here. We can't have. So I said, I go, so it's not about their color, it's not about their language. It's just there are finite anyway. But like that's one thing is there's some faith-based NGOs that are guilty of doing this. Yeah. That's a problem. But as far as the church goes, the church hierarchy, like you ever like Vigano in the Vatican, he's lit up the Pope. He's lit up Francis Vigano, Cardinal Vigano. And again, I talked.
I'm gonna write that down because I like Cardinal Sarah. I like him.
Cardinal Sarah too from Africa. He would have been a great pope.
What's his name? Cardinal V. What is it?
Vigano. Vigano.
Got to be an Italian, huh?
Oh yeah, he's a fucking git, and he's but like you said, old school priest, and he's
he probably sounds like the priest I was describing. This old school.
Yeah, those kind of guys, and he's actually stood up to Francis and said, "No, what you're doing is actually heretical." I mean, he actually said that to the Pope. Your Holy Father.
It's wild because I had that conversation with Father Beeman. I was like, how did this guy replace Bennett? Like, how did that happen? Like, it's kind of odd. Like,
but it's not if you realize the societal trends that were actually being translated also into the church as well. Remember, Pope Francis is a Latin American Pope. So, and you have to know that because he grew up in a country where there's the haves and the have-nots. And so, right? Argentina. Yeah. And so I understand that, but like
he was voted for. That's what's kind of weird to me. Like,
yeah, well, because
I guess I'm Pope. He didn't declare himself Pope. Like he was elected.
Oh no, the College of Cardinals has to vote him.
Right. Exactly. So that's kind of
so remember you have these certain political trends in the church as well that are kind of go towards a left-leaning statist kind of thing. And that's not what they're supposed to do. The church is not there to make you feel good about yourself.
Correct.
It's not.
Right. Well,
it's not.
That was one of the biggest messages that came out of the Sundays with Father, which is like, we are not here. Your faith is not supposed to be easy.
No.
Like the Protestants and the Lutherans with your pumpkin spice fucking communion, they'll make you, whatever, no. If it was easy, then what's the point? It's supposed to be hard. And yes, you fail all the time. You need to confess because you fucking fail all the time. But
every day.
But guess what?
Every day. Yeah.
Jesus still loves you, bro. He just wants you to acknowledge him. That's all. Accept Jesus. You're good. And it's not supposed to be easy because you're right. It's not. Like, it is fucking hard to do the right thing and to be that person that you're supposed to be for Jesus every day. It really is. Like, and when you think about it on a grand scale, you're like, oh, well, it's not hard to be a good person. Like, okay, now start breaking it down. What'd you do today? Be honest. What'd you do today? Was it really? It's fucking hard.
did you honor God, or
Yeah.
did you do something?
Do you feel bad about what you do? You like no, that's real. That's fucking hard. That is fucking hard, and that's why the faith is hard, and that's why I go back to the original premise and the question, or not the question, but the statement was like, I'm sorry, you're not a Catholic if you're pro-choice. You're just not.
Nope.
You're
I
not.
actually got to that. I sort of talked about that. I have a neighbor here. I got to get going in a little bit, man. But
No worries, man. Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
I have a neighbor. We can talk again before the election or after the election, because it's going to be interesting. I have a neighbor.
That's how we're gonna end it.
We have. She's been a family friend forever. She's an older lady, like, same age as my parents. Dad's gone, but yeah, same age as a little older than my mom. She lives on the street. We've always helped each other out. She's great with dogs. She knows that I do what I do with these old dogs. She's been a great friend to my mother and father. The election of Trump broke her. She became this very bitter, and she's Catholic. Yeah. And she had the nerve to say to me one time, she goes, "I cannot respect you for voting for Trump."
Can't respect you. Can't respect you.
Can't respect
everything that you've done for this fucking country. But
so I said so. And by the way, we have a neighbor who is also of her left-wing political bent, and they are mortal enemies because this lady sued her and everything. I said, I'm not going to say names because if someone's listening, but I said to her, I said, so X, your neighbor has the same political affiliation for you as you, votes for the same people you, yet she sued you and has made your life difficult. Is she a better friend to you than I've been? Right. I said, I was sent to war by the people you elected and I elected. And I did that. Does that make me a shitty person because I vote? And I said, you're Catholic. I said, you vote consistently for people who are not even just like they're not comfortable with abortion. They're rabid abortion supporters, like to the point where it's like, it's a death cult. And I just, at the end of it, she was like, I'll never respect you. And I was like, you know what? That really hurts my heart. That hurts my heart because you know what? I still love you. You're my friend. You're a family friend. I said, you call me tomorrow to come up here and help you. I'll do it. I said, by the way, my father, who you loved, has the same political stance as I did. Would you say to my father, who she drove all the way to his funeral. I said, would you talk to my father the way you're talking to me right now? You know, my father was one of the best men you've ever met. And that kind of she got it, Yeah. And again, I still love her, and she's never formally apologized, but we've kind of gone back to like, it never happened. Whatever. I just, yeah, dude, the church is not there to make you feel good about your choices. The church is there to give you the map and to walk that path. Yeah. And that's all it is. It's not a panacea. It's not a balm to soothe this is who I am. This is just how I am. God made me this way. Shut the fuck up.
No, it isn't. Nope. God gave you the fucking path as well. You're right. No, it's true. And I love that about it. And I'll be at mass tomorrow at 7:30 because, I got a Bears game at 9:30. So I got to go a little early tomorrow, but
listen, bro, you're younger than me and significantly dumber than me and probably drunker than me now, but I honestly, I admire you.
Things can be true.
And, I said to I don't know if I told you this, when my father was dying, I was living with him, taking care of him.
Yeah.
Did I tell you, stop me.
No, you didn't say this, but I remember you remember talking about your dad.
It's really, dude, when you have to like wipe your dad's ass and get in the shower with him and shave him and feed him and then like up all night as he's sundowning and he's having all these problems, it is a cross, and there's people who have much heavier crosses to bear. But I remember Pop was sitting next to me and he was a devout Catholic his whole life. And I remember, and I didn't expect him to say this. This is when he was really bad. And he goes, Terry, why is this happening to me? Like, I've tried to live a good life. I've tried to be a good father and a good Catholic. And I had no answer, but this is what I said to him. I had to think. I was like, yeah, Dad, I don't know. I said, well, maybe look at it this way. You, Tom Schappert, have been given the honor of carrying the cross with Christ. So you're actually right now, you have been given the honor of intensely suffering with him. You're carrying that cross with him right now as he's stumbling and being spit upon and tripping and wiping blood out of his eyes. What an honor to suffer with him. So, that's what it is. And he kind of looked at me and he was not all, but he got clear and he looked at me and went like this. I said, I don't know, Dad. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, maybe
No,
that's
I
what it is.
believe it. I don't think God gives anyone anything they can't handle.
Yeah, and it is. Life is supposed to be hard and suffering. And look, dude, I'm
Because
not
we're trying to get to fucking heaven, man. Like that's
trying to talk from a position of power, dude. I've made so many mistakes in my life,
yeah.
and
Oh, I'm with
I
you,
have a
man.
lot of regrets. And I think a lot of times those regrets, they hold me down. They do. I still, as almost a 59-year-old man, I still get trapped in my bullshit. But I do, every now and then I'll stop and I'll just look up at the sky and go, okay, man, there's going to be a day tomorrow, and there's going to be a day when I don't wake up, and that's okay, and I can't wait to see my father again. He'll be waiting for me, and all our friends we lost will be your family members.
Yeah.
They'll all be
Even
there.
that chick who hates you because you voted for Trump.
Yeah, even that chick who hates me, and then even more importantly, we will be reunited with the Lord. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even imagine what that would be like.
You know what? Like, how many minutes you got left?
Yeah, whatever, man. What do you got?
No, well, okay. So I got two things for you. But the first one was like when I was doing RCIA last year. This one really bothered me. Like I was just like, man, that fucking sucks. Father was like, yeah, when you go to heaven, like, yeah, you'll be with Jesus, you'll be reunited with your family, and marriage isn't there, like, because marriage is only on earth. Like, you're not going to be like that. That's not waiting for you, but your friends, your family, that's waiting for you. And someone, in the school, like the kids always ask, well, what about my pet, whatever? And it's like, no, your pets aren't going to be there. And I was just like, you know what, man? I hope that's not true. Because
Kind of
I
agree.
fucking love my fucking pets, man. I've lost some cool, and
I don't agree
lost
with that.
some cool
By the
dogs.
way, I don't agree with that, and I'm going to send you this book. I have to look it up again. I read it
All
years
right.
ago. It was a Franciscan who wrote about this very thing, and he takes issue with that idea that beloved animals are not with you. I'm going to find that book and I'm going to send it to you.
Okay, yeah. Because no, that is cool though. Because I do very much believe that pets and animals, they were put here to teach patience. Because they can't
Yeah, that's
they can't they can't verbally communicate with you, right? So like my
right.
my fucking cat Frank, who's just walked across over there, like that little fucker, I know exactly what he wants and needs at all times of the day, and I know his way of communicating with me. But can I sit here and have a fucking 2 hour podcast with him? No, it would be pretty
Probably
boring. No, probably
not.
not. Right? But you know what, man, I really do believe like animals were put here to bring out the best of humans. I
I
believe.
think you're right.
I
I
think
think
they
you're
do.
right. I'm
But
going
but
to
if you're
find.
gonna
It was something about do dogs go to heaven? I think that's what we might be called. I'll look it up. I read it years
all
ago, and
dogs go to heaven? Is it all dogs go to heaven?
no, I will find it for you, and I'll send it
Okay.
to you
Yeah,
to
no,
the
I
same.
would love that. And then, all right, because Frank's coming to heaven with me, whether he likes it or not. He's only 3, so he'll probably be here until at least I'm your age, which if I make it,
I'm going to die before Frank. That's kind of fucking grim. Anyway,
that sucks.
yeah,
I'll be
no,
at
not
your
really.
funeral with your neighbor friend.
Yeah,
All right, look, we've had some really weird fucking times, and I don't want to keep you much longer, but the 2024 has been fucking wild. Right? It's been
yeah,
fucking wild. We've had not one, but 2 attempted assassinations on the former president, Donald Trump. You saw one take place live on air. We believe another one took place at his golfing resort. We've had the sitting president decide that they're not going to run and to cast the task over to their vice president. We've seen that Democrat Party not send their best because if they were truly serious about winning this election, I think they would never have allowed that to happen. They've withheld Newsom, they've withheld Shapiro, they've withheld Moore, they've withheld their entire future. A, what was your reaction to the first attempt on Trump? And B, why do you think the Democrats have managed to craft this complete fairy tale of a campaign for the vice president who's running?
yeah. Well, I mean, I remember I was at my mom's when Trump got shot. I was at the gym. I came back and she was glued to the TV, and I was like, "What's going on?" She goes, They just tried to shoot Donald Trump." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Wild.
my first, I didn't say anything on Twitter
Yeah,
for.
you're reserved.
There's no reason to because I don't know. We know this. We're ground guys. I'm like, dude, if I wasn't there, let's just find out what happens. But I mean, I don't know if it was I don't think, here's the thing. They've been so dishonest. They've been so sketchy that they can't be upset when people start jumping in these conspiracy theories, because they made this way. When you lie, when you omit, when you shuffle, when stuff happens, I'm sorry, you've already lost that trust. So automatically people are like, wait a minute, was Secret Service in on this? I know, Jimmy Ilbrink was one of them. He had some interesting things to say. I think
I had him on and talked about it.
Yeah, dude, I watched that one actually. It was good.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, fuck, I absolutely watch that. Yeah, I don't know if I even commented. I watched it on YouTube. Yeah. And I talked to Jimmy about it as well. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's a combination of like sort of governmental incompetence and also just being lazy. They just didn't really they weren't that worried about it, probably. But is there more to it? I would like to fucking know. Like, I would like to know. And I think what worries me about this one is that they keep stepping on their dicks over and over and over again. It makes me think they're not worried about losing. Like, I think, like, how could you, if you were worried about losing an election and gas it's gone down a little, but relatively speaking, it's still double than what, when it was under Trump almost, or everything's really expensive. The world is way more dangerous for us. And you're giving so much money to Ukraine, so much money to Israel, and then we have a disaster, and you're like, yeah, suck it. Like, do you remember a couple of days ago, Blinken came out and said how we have 170 billion or something to Lebanon, and then Samantha Power was talking about, she used to be the ambassador to the UN. She's like talking about, hey, we're doing all this money in Ukraine. Like, they actually posted that on Twitter. They posted as a news story. They're either really retarded or they're not worried about losing. Or that part I don't get. Like, even if they're not even lying well.
I haven't considered that they're not worried about losing.
As Tap says from Red Balloon Industries, he said the best quote. He goes, "You know what? I'm a little offended that we deserve better hoaxes and we deserve better shitty leadership, because like they're not even trying to lie to us anymore. Like." Yeah, they're not even.
I'm interested that you brought that angle up, because my angle was that they don't care. That's why they've sacrificed her. So they want to lose, let Trump disappear in 28, and then we all reset from both sides. And that's why they've chosen Harris, because that's why they withheld their best.
Yeah. I also think they realized that the whole Trump thing's a juggernaut. Maybe they're like, listen, and they're probably going to do exactly what they did when he took over in 16. They're going to do the lawfare shit. They're going to try to just kill him, death by 1,000 cuts. They're going to try to shut down what he wants to do. I hope Trump. You know what I always say too? He's a threat to democracy. What did Trump do to hurt them for 4 years? They basically got whatever they want. I mean, he didn't get to build a wall. He didn't round up these people and put that. They were burning effigies of him in front of the White House and using guillotines to cut head offs. Did he go out and sick the cops? No. Like, he was, trust me, dude, I want a Genghis Khan to go in and fucking slay them. Like, Trump is a fucking teddy bear compared to the guy I want to do it. And so, but I think what they are worried about is, 2020 was a very sketchy election, and now they're saying he's a threat to democracy, because I do think they're worried if he gets back in this time, he will go after them, because he didn't go after them before. And I think, the government is very worried about this, because, now you have, he's going to bring on. And do you remember we talked a little while ago about, like, you were kind of like interested in RFK, and I was like,
yeah. Well, no, I'd written that down as something to talk to you about now that they've aligned.
But and it's fun. I was like, nah, fuck that guy.
He's not the guy. But now he's
not the guy, because he's anti-gun, everything. But same with Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard's changed her position on the Second Amendment after she realizes the government was surveilling her for all this time. And maybe RFK, I'd like someone to ask RFK, are you still cool with your gun position, knowing what the government is willing and capable to do to private citizens? Maybe he's changed, but either way, he's not the guy you want to.
What they did to his own dad and his uncle.
So it's like, hey man, like I would think a dude like that would be not interested in having a big government that is out of control. So it's kind of I gotta say, it's an interesting coalition. You have Trump, And all the fucking conservative ink people didn't like Vance. I knew Vance was going to be good. Vance is
Oh,
very
he's
good.
amazing. I was so impressed with him at that VP debate. Like,
Oh, he's
dude,
great.
if that's the future, we're fucking
We're okay. We have him. We have DeSantis. We got
yeah,
we have a good bench.
yeah,
And what an interesting coalition. You have Trump. You have RFK. You have Gabbard. You have Nicole Shanahan and
yeah.
fucking Elon Musk. Elon Musk
Yes.
was at the Trump rally saying, if you don't vote for this guy, we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
listen,
the dude literally said one word the other day about like something with the election. He quote tweeted it and said yes and had like 76 million votes. I'm just saying, you're gonna have
and
to
I
try
have an
really
issue.
fucking hard to keep him out this time. Like, you can't do
It,
what you did in 2020. You're gonna have to really try some fucking shit.
yeah, I think it's going to be harder to cheat because I think there's going to be, if it's a fair election, I think Trump wins it handily. I
Oh,
really do.
absolutely. Like, I don't buy any of these fucking polls. I think like he's gonna destroy her, or that. But that goes back to what I'm saying. Like, they must know that's going to happen because they can't cheat, and
Yeah.
that's why they're
Well,
sacrificing
but
her.
I think they're still trying. And remember, they still
Oh, of
have the
course, they'll
old.
try. You got to try. You can't just.
They still have the whole. They still have the whole government on their side. I'd like to ask the law enforcement people that fucking stood by and let shit burn. Are you going to do that again? Because no matter because no, if Trump wins in a month, there's going to be major political violence. And I want to know if the cops who we're told to back the blue, are you going to do what you did in Minnesota and Wisconsin and just let that happen? Or are you going to fucking stop it? Because you know what, your number's going to come up on this because you're going to need to do something. You're going to need to make a choice. Is it fucking your pension or are you going to fucking do the right thing? Because the problem with cops, and I know lots of great cops, man, like I have a lot of them in my family. If society, because society has changed, when society was what it was years ago, there were cops. Now, because our government and society is so different, they are basically enforcers of a tyrannical government. They're basically the Stasi. So like they're not the beat cops saying, whatever. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting, and we can talk about after the election. It might be good. But you know what? Hey, dude, we'll end on this. Whether you and I live or die tomorrow, whatever happens to us, we know the faith. We know the faith, and so like if I got killed tonight going to the gym or whatever, like we're gonna be okay because like you know what I mean.
You know what's great though? I'm gonna see you on November 8th, which will be after the election.
That's right. That's right. Well, we'll be in contact. That's right. Yeah, that's right. If you're really serious about coming
Yeah,
down,
no, no,
just
I am. Yeah, I'll shoot you a text after this.
we'll talk next week. You can stay here and we'll work it out.
Appreciate it, bro. All right, that's Terry Schappert. He's doing some cool shit. He's about to perform at the what's the name of that theater?
Theater of Dare in the Outer Banks,
Dare, which is pretty cool. Not Dare, like keep your kids off drugs, Dare, but like the Theater of Dare.
Dare County, North
In
Carolina.
Misery. I'm going to be there on November 8th. So please check out Terry. Please follow him on Twitter, not X, at Terry Schappert. And that's it. See you. Bye.
I love